Hey y'all, it is time to catch some catfish. Grab your rods, get you some snacks, and let's go. I got us some bait here in the floor of the kayak. We're gonna be using some skipjack for cut bait, and I've got us some live shad there too we're gonna throw out behind us. We're gonna drag a couple bigger pieces of cut bait, try to get us some big cats. And then while we're doing that, we're also gonna put out a couple lighter tackle rods off the back of the kayak with these live shad on there to pick off whatever. We may get some catfish, we may get stripers, drum, bass, who knows. We might get a variety of fish with that. So anyway, it's a beautiful day here in East Tennessee. Sunny, it's warm, or warm enough anyway, high 50s. We're gonna make the most of it. So I'm gonna get y'all in the chest here while we get our baits on, and we're gonna get after it, buddy. We're gonna, I'll tell you what we're doing here once I get the baits on. I don't wanna waste any time right now. We'll get this stuff done, and we'll cover kind of where I'm at, how we're going about this, why I'm doing what I'm doing here, if we will. But let's get our live baits on first. I threw, let me get this one right here. That's a little bit bigger shad for this bigger hook. I threw the net one time in the creek I launched in and got us way more shad than we would ever use, so I threw most of them out. But oh, y'all done dropped that shad. Get hold of that thing here. This is one of the larger thread fins I got here. This is a 3/0 size shiner hook, and I'm gonna go right through its nostrils there. So there we go on him. That's just again, 3/0 size hook, no sinker, no weight of any kind. We're just gonna free line this thing behind us, and this is a inshore medium heavy rod, 30-pound braid. I've got I think that's a 30-pound fluorocarbon leader. I think I've got tied on. It's either 15 or 30. Honestly, I can't remember what I put on there. I've had it tied on for a month or so, and I probably need to retie that thing. If I wasn't so damn lazy, I'd do that. But anyhow, I'm gonna let out a little line on this one. We'll have it going off the left side rear of the kayak. And the next one I'm gonna put on, we're gonna put a little bit smaller shad. I'm gonna take a light action rod, my crappie rod, and it's got 6-pound line on it. We're gonna have a little 1/32 ounce jig head, and we'll throw it off the other side of the kayak. And again, we're just gonna be pulling these live baits along the top of the water column here as we drag baits for catfish. We're gonna be trying to basically fish the top and the bottom of the water column today. I ain't even gonna use the net on this one. Let me just grab him. See, that's a smaller shad right there. I'm actually gonna go in his mouth and try to run that hook out right between the eyes on him. So that's a 1/32 ounce head, that one is, with I believe a number 6 hook, I believe. So there it goes. And when you're working these, like today here, we're gonna be working a deep flat. When you're working these areas, our number one goal, obviously, today is to catch catfish. That's what we're out here for. That's what we want, right? But they're mostly going to be along the bottom, at least we hope there anyway. But up in the water column, suspended or near the surface, you'll oftentimes find other species. Crappie, drum, bass, stripers will certainly be up sometimes, and you're running these live baits like this, you just never know what you're going to get. And so I've been trying to be a little bit more diligent about using some live baits while we're catfishing. And like I said, I launched in a creek, other side of the channel. There we go. Let me set it back here. Now let's get our catfish rods together here. But anyway, I launched in a creek on the other side of the channel, and I was coming out, and I went toward the back first, but the water temperatures kept getting colder on toward the back. Since my last video, and that was filmed over a week ago now, we've had another little cold snap here. Water temperatures have kind of flip-flopped again. They're colder in the back of the creeks than they are out here in the channel right now. And so I was making my way toward the back of that creek, and I wasn't seeing any bait. I wasn't seeing no shad. I wasn't seeing no birds back there. And so I just turned around and I started making my way out of the creek. And I got about, I don't know, half, 3/4 of the way up out of that creek. And I saw some herons all lined up on the bank in this little pocket. And I was like, well, that's where the shad's at. And so sure enough, I went over and made one throw, got 1,000,000 of these, probably 2 to 3 inch, maybe some of them in there might be 4-inch shad. And so I threw most of them out. I'm trying to keep them alive there in that bucket. Don't want to overcrowd it. But anyway, that's going to be our live baits. I got us some skipjack yesterday, so they're good and fresh. We'll put a head bait on this one, and we're going to drag these. So this is a new dragging system I am been playing with here. These are inline dragging sinkers with a brush guard up top. That goes down to a leader, which is my normal dragging leader that you have seen in the past, 80-pound monofilament, float and rattle, down to a 10-aught size circle hook. And so we'll start letting out some line on that one while we get our next one baited up. And then we're fishing, folks. I'm gonna move us about a 1/2 mile an hour down through here. And we're gonna cover some water today. I have no idea what the catfish are doing, where they're at. I just know that right now, at the present time anyway, the water temperatures are warmer out here in the channel than they are in the creeks. It's 49 degrees out here in the channel. It's about 47 in that creek I launched in. So I wanted to come out here and see what was going on first. I had thought about fishing that creek, but with the bait having pulled out a little bit and the fact it was colder temperatures there than what's out here, I was like, yeah, let's just go on out to the channel. So while we got these baits going out here, we're letting out some line on these dragging rigs. I'll kind of give you the rundown. I'm gonna try to show you on my screen how we're setting up, but the sun's shining right into that thing. So I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this. I'll probably be easier for me to explain it than show you there on the graph with the sun angle. But anyway, we're 31 feet deep. Over to our left, we've got the shoreline, obviously. It comes off a real steep drop, and then it's a slow, gradual taper, almost over to it. We're basically fishing a deeper flat here, 31 feet. Right off to our right, it drops off again, and then goes out to the main river channel. And so we're on the top edge of the drop. I would have liked to have gotten closer to the shoreline where the bait is going to be. I'm going to go ahead and flip that bell over there on that one. But we had a lot of rain. Like I said, it's been a week or so since I've really been able to get on the water and catfish. We had some rain, we had some colder temperatures, and during that time they started moving a lot of water, work all that rain through, and it's put all this debris on the water. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a lot of like sticks and logs and everything, things that are hard to troll and drag through without your line catching on everything. So we're just gonna come over here to the top edge of this drop and work this side where it's not so cluttered with debris, and just work up through here 1/2 mile an hour, just covering water today, and try to run into some fish. I've not seen much, you know. I put in over here to this creek behind us, other side of the channel. I had the graph on coming over here. I wasn't really seeing anything out in the main channel. Honestly, wasn't seeing really any bait out through here either, but it's worth a shot. I feel like, again, the warmer water temperatures are out here, and so I just feel better about it being out here in the channel. That may prove to be silly, but hey, you know what? If you're seeing this, by gosh, something went right for us today. So I'm gonna put y'all in the chest here, bring you with me a few minutes. And by a few minutes, I mean a few hours. We're gonna fish today till, I'll probably go till about dark, I imagine. It's about 1 o'clock or so now. Let's flip this bell over. We'll try to keep our shad alive here. Hopefully they'll stay alive. I've got maybe, I don't know, 2 dozen in there or so. That's more than we'll need. I could throw out half of those. But they should, with the water temps as cold as they are, they should be okay in there for the most part. And as they start to die, we'll toss them out so that the water don't hopefully get the pH changing too much. And we can also too, if need be, dump that water and refresh it at some point as well. The skipjack I got there for us, they're good and fresh. We got plenty of those. I typically, this time of year when water temperatures are still here, 40s, low 50s, I like gizzard shad. It's a better bait. But gizzard shad, I wasn't seeing nothing going on in that creek. I think they've pulled out deeper, and just wasn't gonna. When I get gizzard shad, I need them to be shallow. I'm not good enough to be able to locate them when they're super deep. And honestly, this net here I don't have enough rope to throw and it be super deep. So no shad for us today, at least no gizzard shad anyway. But the skipjack, man, if I had one bait that I could just throw year round and have a reasonable expectation of catching big fish with, it's skipjack. So ton of confidence in it. We'll rock the head and the chunk. And like I said, we're just trying to cover water when this wintertime fishing's going on for me. I'm so inconsistent with when I fish due to the weather and water conditions oftentimes. It's hard to get on a consistent bite, at least for me. There's a lot of changes in the winter months. And this stretch of time that we've been through here these last 2 or 3 weeks are a prime example. We had an Arctic blast come through. That lasted a little over a week. Then temperatures got back up in the 50s again, and it kind of warmed things up. And so the backwaters heated up, a few degrees warmer than the main channel, and all that bait rushed back in there to that warmer water. And so you saw a couple videos there where I'd gotten some shad, right? In just the very back of them creeks, we were catching fish. And then, well, temperatures turned a little colder again. We had some rain that raised our water level up. And now it's back to square one. And we're out here again after a lengthy hiatus. And we got to just start all over again and figure out what's going on. And while I prefer, just from a fun perspective, I prefer anchor fishing. You know me, I love suspend fishing. It's my favorite way to catch fish. It's just this time of year for me, it is so hit or miss that when I do that style of fishing, I'm either going to do well or I'm going to completely skunk. There's not a lot of in between. Like you're either on them or you're not. And unfortunately, there's a lot more skunk days than any other time of the year. But doing this style of fishing, we're out here, we're dragging, we're covering water, we're trying to run into active fish, and hopefully being up here at the top edge of the drop, any fish that we run into are going to be actively on the move looking for food. This style of fishing is more productive than, at least from a numbers perspective, than anchor fishing and suspend fishing this time of the year, unless you're really on them. Now, if you find a good concentration of fish and they're schooled up somewhere, you can have some phenomenal days anchor fishing in the winter. But if you're not on them, if you're just picking out a spot on a map, saying, hey, this is a deep point, I'm gonna go anchor down on it, man, it's a coin flip. They're either there or they ain't. And if they ain't there, it ain't necessarily a given that they're gonna work through. Oftentimes you see me fishing creek mouths, right? I love suspend fishing, anchoring down in creek mouths, because 7 days a week, 365, there is some form of bait in these creeks, and there's usually going to be fish activity, right? They're going to be your predator fish, your catfish and whatnot. They're going to be moving up into those creeks once, twice a day to feed, even in bad weather conditions or bad water conditions. But when those fish come back out to the channel, main channel, and they're schooled up, and you're in a stretch of river, like out here today, for instance, there's numerous creeks on both sides of the channel here. when those fish, when they're, what we got going on there? Is that a bite or is that some, I think we're just going through something rough there. But, no, maybe that is a bite. That is a bite, folks. It's a lethargic bite, but that was a bite. That's on a chunk. I think he may have it, folks. He's working that rod tip back there. It's a lethargic bite. He's got it. I'm gonna crank down on him there. Y'all reel one in, why don't you? Reel one in right here, just a few minutes into the trip. At least try to anyway. I don't know if he's gonna be big enough to stay hooked up. He may just have that daggone bait wedged in his mouth or something. He ain't gonna be big as nothing. Hell, I don't even know if he's still on, to be honest with you. He's not. I was afraid of that. At first I thought it was a lethargic bite. I think it was just a really small fish. Let's let it go back down. That's a good sign though, that we at least got some attention from a fish this early into the trip out here. There's some form of life, some form of activity. I wasn't seeing nothing on the graph, but there is some fish. But like I was trying to say, when you're in a stretch of river, it's got a bunch of creeks and coves, pockets and stuff. And these fish, they retreat back out to the deeper water. I don't know necessarily which creek they're going to go into, especially like if they're all schooled up in like a big school. I don't know where they're going to move into. So you can put some time into a creek mouth, be doing the right thing, even be out there at the right time, but just be in the wrong place and completely miss the bite. So it's just, for me, unless I know there are fish there, or unless I know there's a good source of bait fish in one particular creek more so than some of the others, like, it's just better to get out and move and cover some water, in my opinion. And so that's what we're going to do today. Now, as we get on into spring and water temperatures start warming up and things get a little bit more consistent, well, then we'll go back to doing how I like to do things a little bit more so. And it's not that I don't like doing this. This is a fun way to catch fish. It's just, I'm a creature of habit. I like what I like. And what we got going on? Okay, let me see. We done picked up some debris here, folks. Y'all gonna have to keep an eye. We picked up some debris. We got I need to change this line out. This line on this light action rod is the same line that I was rocking in Florida back in January. I have not switched it out. So we're gonna have to probably be dealing with some line twist today. There we go. Make sure his shad's still doing good. We had a leaf. Yeah, he's okay. We had a leaf we had picked up. I fear may have a lot of that today. Being over here where we're at, we're gonna have less debris to deal with than closer to the shoreline, but still, we're unfortunately gonna have to navigate around some stuff. It's not as bad now as what it probably was right after the rain and right after they first raised our water up and run all that water through. But like I said, I ain't been on the water, I ain't catfished here, and it's been a minute, folks. So most of that stuff is hopefully worked through, and they should be at this point about to the time of working on lowering our water again. I've said before, I don't really care what depth the water is, like what the water level is. I don't care if it's high, I don't care if it's low. Every year they drop us down for winter drawdown. They start dropping the water usually about mid-November, and it usually stays down until May. And they do that for flood control because we always get more rain and stuff like that in the winter. So it just helps. It helps them to lower the reservoirs down. So when we do get that heavy rain, they can raise the water level up without flooding everything. But anyway, I don't really care what depth the water is. The one thing that I do prefer, though, is for it to be consistent. Like, whatever depth it is, just stay that way. Be consistent. I don't do well with the constant fluctuations up and down. That makes it, at least for me, it makes it hard to pattern a bite. And so it's just a personal preference thing. I struggle, this is one of the areas I really struggle to adapt in, is when you've got water level change. And it don't matter if the water's coming up or the water's going down. It's just whatever bite you might have been on, it's going to change with that water level change. And oftentimes you think of, like in the spring or summer, if the water comes up, watch these birds right here. You think some of them birds going to get hit? We got another fish working that rod right there again. He's nice. He at least waved. In the spring and summer, when you got some warmer water, more active fish, when the water level comes up, oftentimes them fish will push back, right? They'll push back, they'll be real shallow. And you typically think of water level falling, they pull back out. That's not always the case in the wintertime. In the wintertime, let's say the water comes up like it has here, and then we have a really cold snap, and it zaps the water temperatures in the shallows, all them fish pull out. You know, fish are they're cold-blooded, they're very adaptive. They can handle, especially these catfish, I mean, they can handle a big range of temperatures. But while they can handle a big range of temperatures, they don't do well with sudden changes. And so you're gonna find them fish looking for stable conditions, whether it's water temperatures, oxygen level, a bait source close by, stuff like that. So anyway, I just, like I've said before in some of these other wintertime videos, I just struggle this time of year to really get on anything consistently. It's one of my weaknesses in my fishing game, if you will. I'm glad that our tournament series, which will be starting back up here soon, March 22nd is the first tournament down in Alabama on Wheeler. I'm planning on going as long as the weather just ain't total crap. But I'm glad our tournaments run spring to fall. If we had our tournament series in the winter, I wouldn't be competing for Angler of the Year. That's for sure. I ain't never been good in the winter, and I don't put the time in. I don't like being cold, and I especially don't like cold, windy days in the winter. Like that wind, it really cuts through you. And in order to stave off the wind, you got to really bundle up, right? You got to dress in all these layers and all that. And I don't like doing that. One, from a comfort level, but two, in a kayak, if things go bad out here, let's say you're reeling in a 100-pound fish today and I got to help you lift the thing in the kayak, and I end up in the water somehow, in 49-degree water, I got to be able to get back in this kayak in a hurry, or it's game over permanently for me. Well, the more layers you got on, the more bulk you're wearing, and the harder it is to get back in. It's more restriction on your movement. It's more articles of clothing to absorb the water and make it heavier for you to climb back in. Like, it's just, it's more of a danger, if you will, to wear all those clothes, in my opinion. So I don't like doing it. And so therefore, when it's bitterly cold, you know, when we got highs in the 20s, like some days we've had here, my ass at the house, folks. I'm on the couch. I'm kicked back watching Netflix and stuff. It just ain't meant to be for me to go fishing that day, is how I kind of look at it. But today, bright sunny day, kind of bluebird skies, but it's warm, or warmer. We're in the 50s today, and with that sun beating down on me, it actually feels warmer than it is. I'm gonna let out a little bit more line on this rod right here. I'm not so certain that we're on bottom on that rod. We're working into the current, because they're moving that water through, we're working into it. And it's moving like 0.3-ish down through here. What we got? Is that a fish on there? We got another one there, pecking at that bait. But anyway, we're working into the current, and these sinkers, these inline sinkers, are new to me. I just bought some recently, and I don't really know how much line I need to let out. They're a lighter sinker than what I normally use. They're only like 2 ounces. And I didn't weigh them they're labeled 2 ounces. I didn't actually weigh them to verify that they're actually 2 ounces. So I may have to let out more line than normal today to get them down on bottom with the current. That one over there on the right's doing okay. We know it's on bottom, but this one on the left, I may not have had out enough line. We may have been higher up in the water column. It may have been lifted up potentially. That company that makes them inline weights, they do a 2 ounce and a 3 ounce. I didn't get any of the 3 ounce. I probably should have, but I didn't. I just got the 2 ounces because they were cheaper. And them things, they're already expensive now. I spent $49 on them damn sinkers. So if they work out, if I'm using them for a while and like them and they're doing better, they're pulling through snags and debris and wood and stuff better than what I normally use, then when I buy some more, I'll buy some of them 3 ounces. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm gonna put them through the paces and see. They're advertised as being better in wood, like pulling through wood. And when I drag baits, my dragging rigs, my sinkers that I make, do really well. But if I'm gonna get snagged up, and I'm gonna get snagged up to the point that I gotta break off anyway, it's almost always wood that gets you. You pull through a brush pile or a sunken tree or something like that, and you end up all up in it and have to break off. And these are at least marketed as being better in those conditions. And if they truly are, then great, I'm happy to use them, because it'll end up saving money. Even though they're expensive, it'll save money in the long run by not having to break off as much, and it will make me money in the long run too, because if I end up having to drag in a tournament or something, and I can keep baits in the water longer, well, it's inevitable at some point in time, having your baits in the water longer from not having to be snagged up and breaking off and stuff, you're going to catch more fish. The longer you got baits in the water in productive areas, the more fish you're going to catch. That's a better takedown there. That's a better one there. Oh, he's taking line. He's taking line. That's a better bite, folks. What are we, 20 something minutes in? It's 29 minutes in. We've had that dink there earlier. And this one here is going to be a little better fish. Well, I shouldn't say we got a dink earlier. We had a dink bite earlier. This rod here I wish I could show you the graph. Maybe I'll try it again here in a minute when we get this in. I'm working that edge right before it goes off the edge of the drop. So our bait on this side, it may be just off the drop, potentially. I like the edges, whether it's a top edge or a bottom edge. I like working edges. It seems like that's just where fish hang out more when they're traveling along, working along a ledge or along a flat before they move on to the flat to feed. They work up on them edges. And so even though I don't know if y'all can see the graph or not, the way I got the camera and light angle and stuff, but like I ain't been seeing nothing on the graph. No bait, not seeing fish, I ain't seeing nothing. It's the Dead Sea as far as the graph goes. I see that stick float by, it's gonna get all up in our crappie line there. Ain't nothing I can really do about it. Hopefully it'll go around it. I think it's gonna be a good fish right here. On that skipjack chunk. I'll be getting close to seeing him now. I think we got lucky with that stick or whatever it was float by there. I don't think it got in our line. We got lucky twice. We got lucky catching this fish and lucky with the stick. This fish ain't wanting to fight much now. I'm just kind of pulling him in. He feels like he's got a little bit of weight to him at least. Now, granted, we're trolling into the current, so everything's going to feel a little bigger because of the extra resistance. But either way, well, this is going to be fish number one. We're getting the skunk out here. Y'all done a hell of a job catching this fish here. I'm proud of you. Well, surely to goodness, I know we had that extra line. We got to be getting close now to seeing this thing. It's a blue for sure. I can feel him kind of rolling. Our drag a little bit. Every time he wants to roll, I feel a drag slipping. Yeah, he ain't as good as I thought he was. I think we were fighting. It's a fun sizer, but I thought he was a little bigger than that. I think we were fighting the current and the resistance a little bit. Come over here, fish. Time for you to act like somebody now. Come on in. He's got mud all down his back. Let's see if we can turn him into the light there. Well, I can get to the light. Let me put him out this way. Maybe you can see that mud going down his tail. You need to take a bath before you get on this channel here, fish. He's a fun sizer. I'm not going to give him any front camera time. I should, but he goes what he is. I've still got this skipjack laying out here. Let's go ahead and cut a bait real quick. And I'm going to try to show you my graph here again and show you how I'm working the edge over here. If we can hopefully get y'all to, it's very difficult filming your screen in direct sunlight. The camera never seems to really get it good. All right. Run this chunk out there. I'm just doing a small chunk here. There we go, next bait. Let's start letting out some line. All right, while the line's going out on that, let me try I can't see what y'all see there on the screen because I got my sunglasses on, so I can't see my camera screen. I don't know if y'all can see or not. But anyway, we're right over here. It's kind of a gradual taper out over this way. And then you can see where the contour lines come together real sharp here. It drops off real sharp off to the channel. And so we're right on the top of that drop as we make our way along here. We're 28 feet right now at the moment. And just following it. I'm just trying to follow it all the way up through here. So, hey, let's fist pump the first. He wasn't as big as what I thought he was going to be, but we're going to fist pump it anyway, by gosh. It's a skunk buster. We out here catching fish, not skunks today. Catching some leaves too. Let me try to. Ah, crap. The other rod's doing good. This one now. Okay, we got it. This one here. Look at that line. Did something just eat that? I wonder if something didn't hit that bait. It jumped there. Like it just started taking off for a second. This line right here is taking off too. It's literally falling off my spool. It's so twisted up. This thing is just, this line right here on this reel is shot, folks. There we go. We got to change that out. Y'all need to make a mental note to remind me to change that line out. I won't remember it if y'all don't tell me. All right, let's see. Let's let out just a little bit more line on that one right there. But on the screen, like if you look at the 2D part, if you can, I mean, it's nothing. It's barren. It's the Dead Sea. And I wonder, is it really just that there's not fish here? Or are there fish here and we're not seeing them because they're down in that mud? Like that fish there, I don't know how well it showed up on camera, but he had mud all down his back, right? So he's kind of been hunkered down. And in those situations where you've just got, like, this is just a basic 2D graph here. I ain't got no side scan on there. No, I took the live scope off this kayak, so we got a 2D graph. When you come across them fish that are right down in that mud on bottom, you ain't necessarily going to see them on a 2D graph. So it's possible that we're kind of bringing our baits and bringing them sinkers over the top of them fish. And even though they ain't showing up on the screen, they could be there. And so our line drags across, that sinker comes across that fish's back, agitates him a little bit, and then there's our bait. Boom. Fish, you know. So now my friend Dewey, he's the one, I need to call Dewey too. I ain't talked to him in ages. I used to see him out on the water all the time, but he had some health problems, and I hadn't seen him in forever. Last time I talked to him, he'd said he had to quit fishing because of his health. But I was hoping he'd, bounce back enough he could get back out there. Because I don't know that I've ever met anybody in my life that loved fishing more than Dewey. But anyway, he put me on them stinger flies that I was using, that I still use on my suspend rigs. He's the one who put me on them things. And Dewey, hell, he's forgot more about fishing than I'll ever know. I mean, he's very, very knowledgeable, very good fisherman. And he's tried a lot of things in his life. And one of the things that he told me about that he would do, something hit our head. To be continued. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, he's pulling line too. He's pulling line too. We got another one. We got another one here, folks. This one on the head. This one's, he's pulling a little bit. All right, folks, hey, That's 2 fish back to back. I'll be curious to see, get this one up here. Is he gonna be covered in mud too? Because again, we've just, these rods are coming right off the kayak. They're coming right behind us. I've not seen anything on that graph. I mean, it looks like the Dead Sea, but yet now we've got 2 fish back to back. I really think they're down in that mud. We'll see when we get this one up here. If he's got mud all over him, we'll know it's been down there recently, if nothing else. Maybe today. We've got bass boat over here too. He needs to watch us reel in this fish. He probably ain't never caught one out here today. Yeah, buddy. This is another one here that feels pretty good, but we'll see when we get him up if it's actually a good fish, or is he just feeling good because we're trolling into the current right now. So far, that's going to be 2 fish on our dragon rigs, 3 total bites, if you count the one we lost there first thing. No action yet on our live baits we've got out behind the kayak on the lighter tackle rods. But the day is young, folks. We can pull them things along back there the whole time. They ain't gonna get in the way. I've got the trolling motor with the GPS. I've got the heading feature on it. So we're just, as this fish, as we fight it and it kind of pulls us back toward him, the motor compensates to keep us going forward. And because of that, our lines going off the back continue to run too without us getting everything all tangled up. This is another one though I'm excited to get a look at just to see the size on this thing. See if it matches how it feels or if it's just feeling bigger because of the current. Either way, it's nice to get a tug on the line. I'm happy to be back out here on the water. I enjoy watching a good show or movie on the couch, but I'd rather be on the water than sitting there at home watching the boob tube. We ought to be getting real close to seeing this thing right now. Come on up here, fish. I want to get a look at you right now. Okay, there's our brush guard in front of our sinker. I see it. I don't see him yet. There he is. That's a bigger one. That one's bigger than the last. Definitely bigger than the last one. I will give this one some front camera time. All right, on the skipjack head. Come over here, blue kitty. I want to get this fish landed. We'll get him unhooked. And I'm going to go ahead and start letting this line back out while we hold him up and show him off to 12 of you still watching. Okay. All right, fish. Let me stick that back in the rod holder a second. Let me give myself a little bit of, give me a little slack there, folks. There we go. Hand me the glove, y'all. If you're gonna make me land it, at least give me the glove so you don't tear me up. There, Nice, nice fish. This one here, he ain't got a few spots there, but he's not covered in mud. So, kind of blows that theory, I guess. Either way, wasn't seeing diddly doo-doo on the graph, but yet here he is. You just gotta Put your baits where fish should be. And don't worry about seeing stuff on your screen. Let's see what the bait looks like here. Oh yeah, it still looks perfect. I got plenty, but I squeeze it there. I don't know if you can see or not, that blood's still coming out. I'm just gonna rehook him. One thing about fishing in cold water, the baits don't bleed out as quick. So let's get that line going down. I'm gonna stick the camera mount up here and we'll hold this thing up for a picture. It ain't gonna be a good picture because the sun's gonna be behind us. But you know what? It's a picture of a fish, a nice fish nonetheless. Let me see if I can get that thing. Boy, that sun couldn't be in a worse position to be holding up a fish for a picture, but we're gonna roll with it. Open up your mouth. There you go. Nice fish, folks. Boy, he feels cold too. I mean, I can feel him on my hands. He's cold. That water temperature's cold. But that's a good fish, and that was a good time. Like that one, the fish matched the weight I was feeling on that one. Nice, man. All right, well, we got our other bait here going back out. Let's let this one go. See if we can catch some of his friends and kinfolk. Let me let him down. I'm gonna grab y'all. We'll get a release shot. Let's do it on this side where we can see him swim off there. There you go. Got me a swig of water there in the mouth on the way. I'll definitely fist pump that one, buddy. That's awesome, man. That is awesome. All right, folks, that's 2 fish pretty quickly. I feel like we're in the right depth, the right kind of location here. We're doing the right thing. We're just gonna stay the course and keep making our way up through here. Again, there's numerous creeks all up and down through here, little pockets that we could be trolling into and out of, but with what I seen in the creek I launched at, and the water temperatures being colder in there than out here, I'd rather stay out here today. Now I do see some birds flying around over there, but even them, they're kind of out toward the entrance of it. And the creek I launched in was kind of like that. I mean, I found the bait there about halfway, 3/4 out. So we'll stay the course. We're gonna keep doing what we're doing. We're 28 feet deep here right now. Still on the top edge of that drop, so let's flip that bail over, kick back and wait on the next one. But the story I was trying to tell about Dewey, he had come up with a way to catch them fish that are down in the mud. When they hunker down like that, and them fish, like you'll see fish in that first one we got there that we landed, obviously had a little mud on him, but like oftentimes you'll see fish come up just with mud, both sides, the back, the tail, like they are down in that. Like I guess they get down there and just do their tail and like waller out a spot in that mud. And I guess they do that as to kind of make their own current break, if you will, right? Like, so if they're out here on one of these deep flats and you got this current coming down through here and they just want to relax, want to rest, they get down in that mud and they don't have to fight the current. They can just sit there, right? What is this boat doing? The river's a half a mile wide here, and he's going to get right here as close as he possibly can to us. He's going to wave as he goes by too. And again, look how wide the damn river is right here. He couldn't have went over the other side a little bit. I mean, it ain't a big wake or anything, but just the principle of it. It's people being people. I'm gonna try to get this damn story about Dewey out before it's said and done here. Keep getting interrupted, sidetracked. But anyhow, Dewey come up with a way to catch them fish that are hunkered down in the mud. And what he done, or what he said he done, he had talked about hooking me up with some of them jig heads, but I never got any from him. And again, I'm a terrible friend. I have fallen out of touch. I need to reach out to him. But he made a heavy jig head, and he said he put a spike on the end of it. And so you put your bait on that jig head, that heavier jig head, and he gets out there and starts jigging on bottom, on them mud flats and stuff where them fish are. He said what happens is you got that heavy jig head, that spike on there. When you hit one of them fish with that spike, he said it pisses them off and they'll attack it. And so you just probe around there with them jig heads when you're on a situation like that where fish are down in the mud, and you can agitate them and get them to eat. Now, I ain't done that. For me, you take a situation like we're out here doing right now, it's like, well, I mean, you see how far over to the shore it is, and we've been covering a good stretch up through here. It's like, when you're trying to jig and hit a fish with it, it's like, where do you do it at? It'd be one thing like if we could see them on the electronics, and maybe you could with side scan potentially. I don't know what it would look like, but I think side scan would be your best chance. It would be your best chance of seeing fish, especially if there was like a school of them that was kind of down in the mud. It would have to change the bottom composition a little bit, I would assume. But if you're just out here in the blind doing it, I would think that would probably make for a long day. But by gosh, I mean, Dewey come up with them damn things, and he said he's caught fish doing it, and I don't doubt him, because he's caught, every time I'd see Dewey out on the water, he got to where he was crappie fishing all the time. He got into crappie. He used to be really into catfishing. Then he had a heart problem, and he said he couldn't, lift the heavy fish up into the boat anymore, couldn't do the anchor and all that anymore. So he got into crappie fishing. Every time I'd see him out in the water, he'd have a whole mess of crappie there in his cooler. And big crappie too. I mean, he knows his stuff. And like them stinger flies he put me on. How many fish have I caught on them stinger flies that I wouldn't have got had he not put me on them? And I'll be the first to admit too, like when he first started talking about them stinger flies, and the first ones I used, he tied. He used to tie his own flies. And so I used them, the ones he tied for me till I ran out. And then Daniel there, Catfish Sumo, started making them. But at first I was like, man, he's telling me, yeah, man, you're gonna catch all these catfish on these flies. Like, you're gonna be blown away at how many you catch. And I was honestly doubting him. Like I was just thinking, yeah, we might catch some cats, but I thought it'd be striper, it would be drum, it would be bycatches that you would get on them flies, not cats. And here we are. How long's that been? I've been using them flies now about 3 years, I guess. Maybe longer, I don't know. But all the extra fish I've got, last year, it was either my biggest fish or my second biggest fish. Like it was one of the two. Like the two biggest fish I caught last year were comparable in size. One of them came on a damn fly. But I've caught a bunch of fish on the flies, but it's catfish I'm getting. Blues and flatheads both. I haven't caught any stripers on the flies, surprisingly. I know I've caught drum, but my memory's so shot, I don't know how many I've caught. Maybe one or two? It's not been many. Like it's been very, very minimal. Everything I've caught on them flies has been cats damn near. 99.9% of everything I've caught, cats. Who would have ever thought? And a lot of people would say, well, Justin, you're using them flies on your suspend rigs, you got a piece of cut bait a few inches above the fly. And they'll say, well, you know, the fish are, they're coming in, they're being drawn in by the cut bait. Well, so what? They're still choosing to eat the fly. They could eat the cut bait if they wanted it. It's right there a few inches away. But we've caught a ton of fish on the flies, and they're hooked in the mouth. It ain't like they're coming up and they're getting after your cut bait and you're accidentally snagging one with the fly. And that happens now. That does happen. You will snag fish with them flies that are actively coming up to try to eat the cut bait. They hit it, they feel the resistance, they roll. Sometimes they will roll into the fly and get themselves hooked, foul hooked. That happens. But my gosh, in the past 3 years or so, I don't even know how many I've caught that have ate the fly like it is in the mouth. It's a solid eat. Now, how they see them, when you're fishing deeper depths, like when I've been down there on, there's one memorable trip. Now, I got the video on my channel when I was down there fishing on Nickajack. And Nickajack is a very deep, it's a very narrow and very deep reservoir, especially the upper half of it. And I've caught fish on flies down there over 100 feet deep. It's like, how do they see it? How do they know that fly is even there? But they clearly do, because, I mean, they've got it in the mouth. You catch one in the mouth, you can say, oh, it's an accident. You catch, I don't know, 100, 200 fish, however the hell many I've caught now on flies, on video. It ain't a coincidence anymore, folks. Like, they know, these catfish, I think they're more in tune with their environment, even at the deeper depths where light penetration is minimal to none. They know what's going on. They know what's there. So I'm a believer in the flies. My suspend rigs, I've always got flies on now. I tried them last year on dragging rigs, thinking that I'd held off on the dragging rigs because I just assumed there'd be one more hook back there to get snagged and stuff. I did okay with them. I did okay on the rigs that I tied up catching fish. I'd hoped, what I had hoped to accomplish with that, really more so than blues, was flatheads. I thought I might get more flatheads dragging with a fly than what I would on cutbait, because you rarely get a flathead dragging. But I need to tie up some more. I'd had a bunch of extra dragging rigs that I'd already tied. And so I was kind of working through them. And when I got these inline sinkers here, the rigs I already had tied, I just snipped part of my leader on them and tied them to the dragging rigs, or these inline sinker dragging rigs. So the next time I tie up a batch of dragging rigs, I'm gonna tie some with flies on there. But there ain't no reason not to have an artificial trailer going behind your bait. They just ain't, unless you're just, I mean, I guess if you're out there just strictly trophy hunting and you're using just really large baits, maybe in that situation you don't want to have a fly. Because if you got a big bait and the small fly trailing off behind it, you're going to get some smaller fish that do eat that fly, and it's going to, while you're reeling them in, your bigger bait's going to be out of the water, right? So in that situation, you probably don't want to do the fly. But for just a casual fisherman, if you're just somebody out looking to get some action, have some fun, like me, there ain't no reason not to have a fly, because you're going to catch more fish. Plain and simple. I've proven it too many times to myself to not believe it. So I need to be doing it on dragging rigs too. But, you know, stuff like that, it kind of changes. I can't say it changes what we know, but it changes what we think. I can't say we. It changes what I think about catfish, because me growing up and catfishing and whatnot, you always hear catfish's sense of smell or taste, whatever, is how they feed, right? And I do think that's very important with them. I mean, it's a very important role. But they're predators, man. These fish, they are predators. The bulk of their diet, the bulk of a blue cat's diet is going to be made up of live fish. Now, maybe certain seasons, like in the summer months, you'll be catching fish and they'll be full of mussels. Like you'll feel the mussels, the shells in their belly, right? Seasonally, they may have a different food source, like mussels, for instance. But over the course of the year, just this, I can't get my words out. Statistically speaking, if I can get my hooked on phonics, the bulk of the fish's diet over the course of a year is going to be a live fish. They are a predator. They're eating live fish most of the time. Yes, we use cut bait for them. I do really well because of their sense of smell, taste, whatever. They can lock in on those bloods and oils and stuff. But these fish, they're not finding pieces of cut bait out on the river. I mean, yeah, these bass boats go down through here 70 miles an hour. Inevitably, they're going to go through some schools of shad and maybe slice some of them up. Maybe some schools of skipjack too, potentially. But that ain't happening often enough to sustain all of these catfish's livelihoods, their diet, right? Like that's just not possible. It's just not realistic. So they have to get out there and hunt their bait down. And so their senses have to be kind of dialed in. And when I'm catching all these fish on the fly, and when I first got my live scope and I need to put more time into live scope. I just got frustrated with it and kind of burnt out on it. But like when you see catfish that are up in the water column, and I've got videos on my channel doing this too, of sniping them, like going out there with artificials, dropping it on the catfish's nose and getting them to eat. Like if they're there, head bait's getting worked again. Something gave it a love tap. But what I was trying to say for that fish interrupted us, like if you can put an artificial bait right on a catfish's nose, he's going to eat it. And in fact, I mean, again, the videos on my channel demonstrate it, like fish actively chasing down your artificial lure and following it back to the kayak. It was incredible. It was amazing. It was a lot of fun when you get on that. Now, how often do you see the catfish up in the water column like that? That part was difficult, right? Like I got on that bite in the winter, couldn't replicate it in spring and summer. But my friend Elias V Fishing, when he come down there, him and I fished on nickajack together. I think it was maybe 2 years ago now, maybe 3 years ago. Time gets away from me. He's big on the artificials and he's big on jigging. He loves jigging. It's his favorite way to fish. He caught some catfish and some big catfish jigging with artificials there on nickajack. And so inevitably for him to do that, like he got that jig down there in their face and they snatched it up. So going out and replicating that bite, getting on that bite consistently, that's tough. Maybe eventually the technology gets there to the point where we can better discern fish that are laying on bottom, and that becomes easier at that point maybe. Right now, I don't think it's there. I certainly, like if I was competing in a tournament with myself, if I could take myself and a clone of myself, put us on the same body of water, same gear, and one version of me went out fishing like we're doing here today, and the other version of me went out with live scope and artificials only. the version of me that's doing this would probably win the tournament 10 out of 10 times. If the live scope version of me won, it would be because I got lucky. Like Vegas, if they were taking odds, if they were taking bets, the version of me fishing with cut bait or live bait would be the heavy favorite. I'd be Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas. But you know what? Buster Douglas, by God, he won. And inevitably, live scope Justin would probably win once, occasionally, too. But as crazy as it was for Buster Douglas to beat Mike Tyson back in the day, I think most sane people would agree if they had that fight 100 times, Mike Tyson's winning the other 99 times. And that's how it would be with me if I could clone myself and have a tournament where I'm fishing with live scope against myself fishing with live and cut bait. Like, live and cut bait is going to beat the live scope version of me 99 out of 100 times. But there's something there with that though, man. There's something to it. I've caught enough fish with the live scope and artificials to know that there's something there. I'm just not proficient at it, and I don't have the patience to really go out and make myself do it. Like, here would be the situation. Like, if I went out and just took the live scope and one rod and just made myself do it, I would get better at it, right? Like, I would have to. But when I go out there, when I've went out there using it in the past and tried it, and I go 15 minutes and I ain't seeing a damn thing to throw at, I get impatient. And by the time an hour's gone by, I'm like, well, hell far. If I'd been suspending baits or dragging baits, hell, I'd have done caught some fish. You know, and I end up just talking myself out of it. You got to commit to it if you're going to get better at anything in life. You got to commit to it. You got to make a conscious effort to get better. And I've just not really done that with live scope. I've played with it just enough I've had enough success with it to know that it's very effective, at least especially for some things like crappie, and there's some bass guys that are proven to be really good with it too. But I've had enough success with it to realize that the potential is there. But I'm impatient enough and just know myself enough to know that I'm not going to crack the code. Like, I'm not going to be the guy that figures it out. I'm going to need other people to do it and make instructional videos, put them on YouTube, where I can learn from what it is they're doing. Like, I'm not going to figure it out on my own. I'm not that good with technology. I also think too, it's a little bit more of a challenge in a kayak than in a boat. When you see the guys who are really good with it, whether it's crappie or bass, they're all in boats. And boats, they're heavier, they're less affected by wind. And a kayak, even this kayak here, a heavy kayak, with the motor and batteries and bait bucket here and all that, like, it's still easily blown around by the wind. And so it's hard. It's hard to follow fish. Like, if you're spot locked and you're shining your transducer around at a brush pile, it's one thing. But like, when you're out stalking open water fish, it's hard to follow them when you're getting blown around constantly. And it's tough too, because you're sitting so far back from the trolling motor. If you put your transducer up there, it's hard to it's harder to judge. Most of them guys that have it on their trolling motor, they're standing right there by the trolling motor. Most all the kayak guys, and how I rigged mine up, you had it on a pole back here by the seat. Well, when you got it on a pole by the seat, you're using one hand to operate that pole. You're using another hand to operate your trolling motor. When you do see a fish, you got to put everything down, grab your rod, make the cast before the fish moves. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's got to go right. In a kayak, I just don't think that it can obviously be done. I mean, I've done it. I've caught some fish, sniping them with the live scope in a kayak, but I don't necessarily think it is a good platform to be doing it from. I think you'd be better off in a boat where you could stand on the front deck, operate a trolling motor with the transducer on it with your foot, and keep your hands free. And in that situation with the boat, you'd have your outboard in the back acting as a rudder, so the back end of your boat don't get blown around every which way. And a lot of them guys now, like especially the crappie fishermen, they've got I forget what they're called, but it's basically like, instead of having power poles on the back of their boat, they've got trolling motors facing the opposite way back there. And it allows them, when they're stalking open water fish and they're trolling wrong and they're shining that transducer, it allows them to hit the brakes. Basically, they'll fire them reverse thrusts with them trolling motors going off the back, and they can slow down, stop, present the bait to that fish before they go over the top of it. Can't do that in a kayak. Like, for instance, let's say I had the transducer on that trolling motor, and we're moving down through here and we're looking, right? And we see a fish coming up on us, but we're moving too fast. I need to slow down. Well, these bow mount motors here, there's no reverse. You got to turn the head of it back this way to be able to slow down, right? Well, when you do that, you just took your eyes off the fish, because now the transducer's pointing back this way instead of facing forward like it was. So there's a lot to it. The internet, you get on the internet, YouTube, social media stuff, and people they talk about live scope. They say, hell, it's a cheater box. You just turn it on and catch big fish. I'm here to tell you, folks, it ain't like it. It's a skill like any other. And you get good at the skill, you can catch some big fish, at least crappie and bass anyway. Somebody will eventually dial it in for catfish. But you got to learn that skill. You can't just turn it on and magically start catching 100-pounders. It ain't gonna work like that. I see all these people out here. I guarantee you, these bass boats that have went by us, everybody got live scope now. Price on it's come down enough. It's been out long enough. Especially these guys, they wrap $70,000, $80,000 bass boats. They ain't sweating an extra $2,000 to get live scope. They all got it. How many of them's really doing well with it? Like, seriously, how many are doing well? You look at the local bass tournaments around here, the scores, the weights, like all these local bass boat tournaments, they go by the weight of the fish. Our kayak catfishing tournaments go by length. The winner's determined by total inches, but in these bass boat tournaments, they catch the fish, they put it in the live well, they take it to a weigh-in, winner's determined by total weight. If live scope was just helping all of these guys instantly become better fishermen, tournament scores should go up dramatically. Right? Like, I mean, if all you do is just turn it on and catch big fish, well, it shouldn't just work that way for the pros. Now, granted, the pros, apparently, I don't follow the Bass Pro tournament series, but apparently the scores have gotten better with those. Those guys are the best of the best. They've got their system dialed in. But Jim Bob, who fishes the weekend boat tournament trail, How many Jim Bobs are you seeing going out and just dominating with live scope? I don't see it, and it's not reflected in our local tournament scores. So I'm telling you folks, it's a skill. It's something you gotta practice. It's something you gotta dedicate some time and energy into. And I'm just not that into it. I love doing it when I'm on them. Like, it's fun to see a fish on your screen, drop a bait down, and get that bait smacked. It's fun. But trolling around for a half hour and not seeing anything, that ain't fun. And I just don't have the patience to sit there and do it. So I hope one of these days I'm gonna hopefully get better at it. Oh, we finally got another fish here wanting to. Where we at on my back? I need to plug in. Y'all bear with me a second here. I got to plug in the battery pack. There we go. That'll help our calls. I keep talking about it. One of these times I'm gonna do it. But I keep talking about hiring that fishing guide, a crappie fishing guide I met last year. It was around this time last year, actually. And he actually liked me. Most crappie fishermen don't, but he did. He knew me from YouTube. And he's really good with live scope. Like, he's a really good crappie fisherman. He's got things dialed in, how to target them open water fish. I keep talking about hiring him and have him take me out and hold my hand through it. Just teach me. Take me under his wing and show me from the time he gets on the water, how he sets up his screen, his settings, what he's looking for, how he approaches fish, how he moves his boat. I mean, that in itself would be interesting to know. Like, how does he, if he's working through a creek or a flat looking for fish, like, how is he moving his boat to find those fish? That would be interesting to know. I keep talking about it. I'm going to hire him at some point. It's going to happen. We got a log coming up here, folks. Let me check behind us too. Make sure we ain't pulling nothing with our live baits. This right here is going to be a problem for 2 rods. I think what we're going to do, we've been at this a while now. I think I want to switch out our baits, especially that head bait. I hope us hitting that log is going to keep our line out of it as it goes through. I think we're good on the catfish rod. I'm not so sure about the light tackle rod. This light tackle rod, we've had, what, 2 leaves, a stick. We've had all kinds of disruptions with this rod. Go on, log. All right, I think we're good. Here's what I think I want to cut another skipjack, switch out our baits. I'm going to get some of these shad here too that's on the top here. They're dying off. Let's go ahead and throw them out. Got our others down there toward the bottom that are still okay. As these things die off, the pH changes. It'll cause the rest of them to die off. I think we're, considering we've not got anything on our live baits yet, well, I say we was going to switch out our baits, and I think we're about to catch one. We got one. We got one on our head right here. Oh, dang, that bird just got our shad back there. Did you see that? I don't know if I turned around enough. He went after our shad on this rod. I'll have to reel that in, make sure he didn't get it. But, hey, we got us another catfish on here. Birds, you best leave my shad alone. There he's going again. Dang old, oh, they're eating them other shad I just threw out. I just called them damn birds in. They'll be over here crapping on our head. birds. Well, this is a good time right here to switch out our baits since we got this fish on. We'll tighten down a little more on this thing. I can't really tell about this fish. He's not fighting. Like, I feel like I'm pulling in. I feel like there's just dead weight back here right now. But hey, this is 3 fish and a relatively short period of time. We're still under an hour and a half in, and this is the 3rd fish. And I mean, hell, wintertime conditions like this, with me having not catfished, the water level having come up, temperature change, all that, like, I feel like we're doing pretty good today. Like, I feel pretty good. Now that fish wants to fight a little bit. It's mostly him just letting me pull him in. But when he thrashes, he does feel pretty good. Time will tell what we got here. But we will go ahead. What I'll probably actually do is reel this fish up here. We'll get a look at him. I'll put him back in the rod holder. And we'll go ahead and cut another bait up. That way, when we unhook this one, we can be letting out line while we hold him up. And then when we get that done, we'll reel in our other bait with the chunk, switch it out, and then we need to check our back left rod here for sure, see if we still got a shad on there. That bird was, when I saw him come down, he was right there by that thing, so he may have hit our shad potentially. Who knows? Either way, we need to check it, just make sure it's still on there and alive. We got another big log coming up here in front of us. It's going to be a problem, I feel like. Whether this turns out to be a big fish or whether I'm just mostly fighting current, it's still a workout here, folks. These situations, though, I would rather pull into the current. If you're going to drag with the current, you got to be going faster than the current speed. And I don't want to be moving that fast with 48, 49 degree water temps. Half a mile an hour is about as fast as I want to go. Oh, we're going to have to move here, folks. I'm going to steer us to the right a little bit. We got this, right up here, we got this log coming. I think we're going to miss it. I'll get us back on course here when we get by it. All right, there's our sinker. Come on up here, fish. That's another good one. That's a good one, buddy. Another good fish on the head bait. Our 2 biggest fish now have been on the heads, or that head in particular. Nice. Nice fish. That one's the biggest one of the day so far. All right, let me steer us back to the left now that we're around that, or around where that log is going to be. Yeah, that's a good fish right there, man. Let me just make sure he's hooked good. I think he's okay. Let's set him back. Grab us another skipjack. A second here. There we go. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and cut this thing. Go ahead and get our chunk cut too. While I'm at it, Let's throw that thing out of the way, because that fish, we land him, he's going to take up quite a bit of floor space right here. We'll throw that tail out right there. We got plenty of bait. All right, folks. Let me take this, get it out of the way. Folks, yes, buddy. We've got us a good fish right here. Well, it's landing. Another one we ain't gonna get a good picture with, but if we catch us a monster today, I'll have to turn the kayak around or something to get me a good picture with him. But this one here, although he's a good fish, I don't care about getting a good picture with him necessarily. You know what? Maybe I do. He's bigger. Folks, that's a bigger fish than what I thought. Now that I've landed him. He's gurgling still. Oh, man. How about that, folks? We ain't seen diddly poo on the graph. But, I mean, I ain't seeing bait. I ain't seeing nothing. But yet we're going down through here and we're catching some big fish. And they're just getting bigger and bigger. Let's go ahead and get this bait going out. Oh, buddy, look at that. Look at that thing. That's a hoss right there. Let me set y'all up here. Terrible position for that sun. Give me a good picture. Oh man, okay. The camera's crooked, but it'd be all right. Buddy. Look at the gut on this thing. Yes, buddy. All right. Love it. Man. I wish I was getting a good picture, but it's all right. We had the fun of the fight. He let me pull him in most of the way, kind of lethargic, but when he would thrash, I could tell he had some pounds on him. Uh-oh, this rod's going down. We got one on the right rod. Going through some fish here. Let's, we'll see you, fish. I gotta let you go. We got one of your friends stealing your spotlight. No, I couldn't lean over far with that one. He's on. Let's keep our line going out on this one. Oh man, y'all. Yes, that is so awesome. This fish right here, he knew it was his opportunity too. Last chance to get this bait before we switch it out. That fish hit my clicker there on his way out the kayak. Hell, my arm's a little tired after the last one. This one here I don't think is gonna be quite as big as his friend, but you know what? We've apparently gone through some fish to get to like that so quickly. We're at 33 feet now. Depth's pretty consistent here on the top edge of this. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna flip over the bail on that other rod there for the head bait, since we got it going out. Trying to work as efficiently as possible. I'm running two rods. You know, this is two rods. You gotta work fairly efficiently, or else you can spend a lot of time without baits in the water. Yeah, this is a small one here. We went from the biggest fish of the day to the smallest fish of the day. What do you think about it, fish? You want that bait? I'm gonna give it to you. I'll give it to you if you want it. Yeah, here. Watch this. Let's do a good deed for this fish, because I'm gonna throw out this bait anyhow. There. Well, look at the mud on that one. See, like I was talking about, how they got mud all the way up their back. Like he has been down, he's got it all over his head and everything there too. Like that fish is being buried recently. I'm gonna just take this bait and give it to him though. I'm feeling generous. I'm a humanitarian, folks. I don't care what people say about me. Here, you wanted it that bad, you can have it. Just open up your mouth. Open up, I'm gonna feed it to you. Like some pervert or something here. Open up. You know what? You're ungrateful fish. You can go chase it down if you want it. Oh, ornery fish. He said, you pervert, Justin, or something, trying to feed him a bite of skipjack like I don't know, feeding a hot woman a strawberry or something over Valentine's dinner. I don't know. Either way, we're on some fish here all of a sudden. I'm gonna go ahead and get this bait that we cut, another chunk. Let's toss it out there. These rigs, them inline sinkers there, they're kind of long, so I'm not going to be casting those. But I don't really care about that. For how I fish, I don't really need to. I mean, this situation, we got the speed of the kayak plus the current going opposite of us. Those baits are going to be behind us quick. Like we're going to get them back there very fast. What's going on here? Oh, we had another leaf. We still got another leaf. I'm about to put this rod up. This rod right here has been a pain in the ass with these leaves. I'm putting this one up. We're going to stick with the other one over there. Because this thing here, between the line being crap on it and the constant leaves this jig head gets, I'm done with it. We're catching enough big fish to keep me entertained anyway. I do want to do this though, while I'm thinking about it. Let me reel in this one enough. Make sure we still got a shad on. See if he's still on and see if he's still alive. He is still on. Okay, the bird didn't get him. Yeah, he's still alive. He's swimming right there. Do us proud, Shad. Catch us something today. Make it worth our while to have thrown that net. Finally here, folks, finally seeing some bait there on the screen, right there on bottom. We're 40 feet here. I'm dropping off this ledge. I got to get us back here to the left a little bit. Oh, we got to flip that bell over too. But yeah, this setup here, 2 rods, I mean, you can't dick around too much. You gotta work efficiently. And that's true. I mean, if you're fishing with 2 rods, you gotta work efficiently regardless of what you're doing, but I like fishing with 2 rods, no more than 4 in a kayak for sure. You know, the planer, the guys I know who like planer board fishing, and y'all regular viewers know how bad I hate planer boards. Those guys will run 8 and 10 rods. The guys I compete with against in a tournaments there, they run, hell, I think Ryan might run 12 rods this year. But their boards are spreading out their baits. And how I do things, if I tried running more rods, I'd just have a tangled mess. Even when I fish 4 rods, I end up with tangles. You know, I'm flirting with it. But dragging here, just off the back of the kayak, like I'm trying to work stuff. Like I'm trying to work edges. I'm trying to work brake lines. Like I'm trying to put my baits on a spot that I think fish are going to be working along. Whereas, you know, if we were running planer boards, we'd be kind of, ideally in this situation, working this top edge of this flat here, we'd be trying to cover this whole flat, which honestly today, with all this debris, especially closer to the shoreline, I don't know how well it's showing up on camera, but I mean, there's tons of debris, just sticks and little logs and stuff, all that stuff that was on the shoreline that has been washed off as the water come up. Like, we would be constantly snagged up and having to get our lines out of that stuff. With only running 2 rods, I can kind of navigate around this stuff. If we, like that log that was coming down through there earlier, you know, long ways, I was able to navigate around it just fine. But if you're running 8 rods, 8 lines off the back, like you're going to be catching some of this crap. Just inevitable. To each their own. I mean, again, I talk crap about planer board guys all the time, but some people actually genuinely like doing it. I'm just not one of those people. I don't find it fun at all. So if I'm dragging, I'm pulling 2 rods. And it's effective. I mean, the 5 or 6 of you that watch regularly, like, you've seen me beat the planer board guys in tournaments with 2 rods. And I'm going to try to do it again this year. I got a feeling down there at first tournament in Alabama, assuming that I end up going, and I do want to go, I plan on going, but if the weather's terrible, I'll skip it. I don't want to go down there. Oh, our head bait's already getting some attention. I pecked it. Just a little peck. But, you know, assuming the weather's good down there, I'm going to try to go. I don't want to go down there and it be torrential downpour where I can't fish comfortably or film, and I don't want to go down there and it be super high winds. But I mean, if the weather's reasonable, I'm going to go. And I got a feeling I'll probably be dragging. I think that's probably what I'm going to do. Last year, the March tournament was it was in Alabama also. This one's coming up, it's on Wheeler. Last year, we were able to fish either Pickwick or Wilson Lakes. And I ended up fishing on Pickwick, and I won it dragging. Caught several fish, but that was the winning ticket for me, was dragging ledge down there on Pickwick. And I imagine be a comparable bite going on this year, with it being similar time frame, probably similar water temperatures. It's obviously working out here today, so I think that's probably what I'll end up doing. Now, where I do it at there, I don't know. I need to get down there and pre-fish a little bit. Probably go down at some point before the tournament. I don't know when. What I'll probably do is try to get down there maybe a week or so in advance and poke around for a couple days and get a plan together, and then come back home, because it's only a 4-hour drive for me, so it's a short distance. But, you know, go down there and get a plan, figure out not only what I want to do, but where I want to do it, and then come back home and go down the night before the tournament, like stock up on bait here the day before the event, and drive down there, spend the night, get up and fish the tournament, and then I'll probably drive back home the following day. Or I mean, after the tournament, I should say, since it's only 4 hours. Our tournament ends at 3 o'clock, do our check-in at 4, sit there and talk to the guys. Hell, we might go out and eat or something. We done that at some of the tournaments last year, just go grab dinner somewhere at one of the local restaurants. But, I mean, hell, get out of there by 6 o'clock, I'm back home by 10. So no reason to go down there and spend another night. But all of that dependent upon weather. I just don't want to go down there and, like last year, The Wheeler tournament last year, I forget what month it was in. August maybe? August or September? I can't remember, but I went down there, I'd pre-fished. Felt like I had a pretty good plan where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. And tournament rolls around and there's like a tropical storm system working through. It'd come up from the Gulf and into Alabama. And tournament day was a downpour on those guys. And I was like, I told our tournament director, because I'd already committed to going. I called him up. I'm like, look, man, I'm sorry, but I just don't want to go down there and fish in this mess. High winds, pouring down rain and all that. Like, I'm too much of a fair weather fisherman to do that. I'm a pansy in bad weather. I just don't want to fool with it. One of the perks of, well, there's a lot of perks to doing this YouTube crap for a living, but one of them is that I set my own schedule and I have the opportunity to fish whenever I want to. I mean, yeah, I've got real life events and appointments and family stuff it takes away. I have to work around, certainly, but for the most part, I can fish when I want to fish. And so because of that, I kind of pick and choose my days. Like this time of year, for instance, like, you know, for the last week or so, we've had foul weather before really yesterday, and yesterday wasn't great, but it was good enough to go out and try to get us some bait. But I just took it off. Just wait for better, with no sense of getting out and punishing myself, getting out in lousy weather and being miserably cold, especially this time of year where these videos ain't gonna do no good no how. And I don't mean, I say they're not gonna do, they're gonna get some views, and thank you certainly for watching, but not compared to June, July, August, the peak fishing months on YouTube. Like, it's just, I'd just rather wait for better conditions, better time. Tournaments are a little bit different. I will fish a little bit worse conditions in tournaments just because in a tournament you're competing against other guys who are also going through the same conditions you are, and the tournament schedule is limited. Last year, I think we had 8 or 9 tournaments. This year there's 6, I think, 6 or 7. And I already know a couple of them I ain't gonna fish. Like, I'm probably not gonna go to the one in Texas, and I'm probably not gonna go to the one in Missouri, just because they're really long drives. I mean, if there ends up being a lot of people signed up to go and there's a big prize pool, I'll probably do it. But I don't want to drive 10 plus hours to go catfishing in a tournament where there's $1,000 for first place and second place is your entry fee back. You know, I mean, again, $1,000 ain't nothing to shake your head at, but if you're driving that far, you're going to have well over $1,000 in expenses by the time you factor your fuel, your hotel, all that, because you ain't driving out there 10 hours to fish one day and coming home. Like, you're gonna go out there for a few days, right? Maybe stay a little later, I don't know. So it's got to be worthwhile for the trip. And typically, if I'm gonna drive that far, I want to go fish for something I don't normally have access to. I don't want to go catfish. I want to drive 10 plus hours to go catfishing when I can catch catfish 20 minutes from my house. Now today I've driven a little further. I've driven about 45 minutes to fish where I put in at today, but still, it's a very close drive. If I'm gonna drive that far, I want to go to the beach, get some better weather, better scenery, maybe some sharks. A lot of people don't like sharks. I do. They're the most fun big game fish to catch, in my opinion. It's just like catfishing, just bigger gear and harder fighting fish. Although I say that, that sailfish I caught a few years ago was pretty incredible too. It was a super hard fighting fish, all kinds of acrobatic stuff, like sailfish are really cool. That was, yeah, I would say I don't feel comfortable surf launching like that. Like when I go down to the Keys and fish the salt there, you don't have to surf launch. The water's fairly calm where you're putting in at. And you got some current out there, but the water hitting the sand is very manageable. When you go out there, the sailfish, like up there on the mainland of Florida there, the way the ocean runs down Florida, the east coast of Florida, you can go out a mile out offshore, which is very doable in a kayak. I mean, you can go out a mile in a kayak. But you're right there in that 100-foot depth that them sailfish like to be in. The farther south you go, like down toward the Keys, you're miles and miles away from that deeper water. So it's just tougher to get to them. But up there on the mainland, you put in on those beaches, you've got that, you know, the rougher conditions. You got a surf launch. And I'm not comfortable with it. I haven't done it enough to feel good about going out by myself. And I don't know how to catch them goggle eyes, or gogs, they call them, baits that are real good for sailfish. You can buy them, and that's what I'd do if I went. I'd buy them, but they're pretty expensive. I think, memory serves me, I think they were like $8 a piece, I think. Well, that was a few years ago. I don't know what they are now. It's like skipjack here, man. Skipjacks, God almighty. I mean, all these bait dealers we got around here and these bait shops still can't get enough supply to satisfy the demand. There's a fish. That one's pulling, buddy. That one's pulling too. He took it down hard. On the chunk. I think the takedown is going to be better than the fish. I think it's going to be a small fish, unless he's coming right at me. He must have hit it with a full head of steam going down current. I don't think he's going to be very good, but he has swam toward me. This one actually helped me out here. Instead of making me drag him in, he actually swam toward us. Now I've caught up with him. He feels a little better now that I've caught up with him. I thought it was just a tiny dink. Now he at least feels a little better. Yeah, let's see what we got. He still ain't gonna measure up to that big one. But it's another fish nonetheless, man. It's been more productive than what I anticipated today. I really thought there was a chance that I could come out here and potentially get skunked today. I think that big fish, and I let him go, may have hit my drag, in addition to my bait clicker. Yeah, he's a fun sizer. He's bigger than what I first thought he was. I don't know that I'm going to give you any front camera time, though, fish. Why don't you come here? All right. He's front camera worthy, but I want to get a bait back down there ASAP. Well, he was not coming free. Here, let's do a very quickly, because this fish asked me nicely. He said, please hold me up for a photo op. So there you go, fish. He's got mud coming down. You won't be able to see with the sun where it is. He's got mud on his sides too. I think these fish, they've just been down, and I think when they've retreated out of these creeks, they've come out here to these flats and kind of just hunker down. And we're getting these fish that are, you know, they've either come out of the mud and now they're ready to eat, or we're bringing these baits over them and it's prompting them to to trigger a strike. Either way, it don't matter to me. Hell, I don't care. I don't care what's causing it, just as long as we're getting bit. And we are. We'll get another bait going. See if we can repeat it. Like I was saying about bait though, you know, we got tons and tons of bait dealers in my area. More so in the spring, they tend to fall off. When the bait fishing gets tough, you don't see as many bait dealers. But man, the bait shops, they can't keep skipjack in stock, and they charge an arm and a leg for them here. But I'm just too damn cheap to be buying skipjack. I can't even keep them now anyway. I went home the other day and I noticed I had a freezer on the back porch that was strictly for bait. Like, that's all I kept in there was bait, and when I go buy ice, I'll buy 2 or 3 bags and stick my extra in there. That way I don't have to go to the store or usually around my house I got a little bait or a ice machine. It's cheaper than the gas stations, but when I go anyway, I'll get 2 or 3 bags, and that way I can keep them in the freezer there and not have to make a special trip for it. And I come home the other day, and that freezer, man, it's leaking all along the bottom there. I was like, crap, what's going on? Well, it's dead. My freezer quit working. Which, it's old, man. I bought that thing probably 10 or 12 years ago, maybe longer now. I got it shortly after I got my house. I got my house in 2006. It may be closer to 20 years that I've had it. But either way, it was used, and I paid $100 for it. I got it on Craigslist. That was back before Facebook Marketplace. That was back when you had to buy something on Craigslist. But I bought it there, and it was old when I got it. And it's lasted a long time. But it finally bit the bullet, and I just don't think I'm gonna get another freezer. I rarely use frozen bait ever anymore, especially now that I'm doing this YouTube, full time. Like, I just don't, I can usually get something for bait. Even when bait's hard, I can find something. And so I just don't ever use frozen bait much. So there really ain't no point in buying another freezer. I can put my ice bags, when I buy extra, I can put that in the freezer in the house that's connected to the fridge. I got a side-by-side there. Me and my girlfriend both, we don't really eat anything that's like frozen. I'm gonna flip this bale over. We don't eat frozen food. So the freezer, there's like nothing in it. I pretty much, at the house there, I got steaks and vegetables and fruits in my fridge. That's it. And condiments. I don't eat a lot of frozen stuff, so my freezer's empty. Look at this guy here too. Look at this. I mean, good hell. I could have thrown a rock and hit that guy. The river's a half a mile wide here. There's no courtesy left today, folks. There's no courtesy. We're a half a mile. I mean, it's a good thing I'm not a planer board guy, because there's no way we could have been running planer boards and that guy wouldn't have run them over. Like, what's the hell? Like, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I don't understand people. I don't get it. It's a half a mile wide. Just go. If I seen I was coming up on somebody, I would veer out away from them. I mean, it's not like he's just like trying to flip us or anything. It's not like that. the wake coming off of him, it's not a big deal. It's just the principle of it. Like, why get so damn close to somebody? I don't understand it. But yeah, my freezer, my days of having a bait freezer over with. I think I'm gonna keep that freezer for now. Hey, look at this. Look on my screen here. Look at all that bait right there on bottom. We're 41 feet here. You can see where we're going. All that bait right there. I think I'm gonna keep that bait freezer for now. I may end up throwing it away. But one thought I had, I have seen a lot of people take old freezers and plug up the drain there on bottom. Like there's a drain at the bottom of that freezer, like if you got a defrosted or something, you can open up that drain, let it drain out. But a lot of people plug that up and turn it into a bait tank. And I don't really need a bait tank because I rarely use live bait. I mean, like today, of course, we're using some shad, but I'm catching them right before we start fishing. I'm not taking them home. But it would be an option to have a bait tank. I'd have a ready-made container already there that's insulated. So I'm gonna keep it for now. I mean, it's taking up space on the porch, but it's a space that's kind of been dedicated for that freezer for many, many years now. I can't remember when I got that thing. It was shortly after I moved in. I bought the house in 2006. I moved in like January, February of 2007. So it's been a long damn time that I've had that freezer. I got my money's worth out of it for sure. I gave $100 for it. So I got my money's worth. If I'd bought a new freezer back then, it'd probably done died a long time ago. The new stuff don't last, but the old stuff, especially on refrigerators and freezers and stuff, things like that, man, they lasted forever. My parents' refrigerator, we moved there where my parents currently live in, I believe it was 1990. I think I was 8 years old. And that refrigerator that came with the place is still going. The refrigerator and the stove is the originals from at least 1990. So that's what, my math here is terrible. 35 years now. But these new appliances you buy today, hell, they ain't worth a damn. All these smart appliances, they smart until they quit working. Then you buy a new one. Next thing I'm gonna have to have at my house is probably a hot water tank, hot water heater. That was another thing I got in 2007 or 2006 there. When I got the place, I had to put a new hot water heater in. And I'd had one of them services, pipe wrench plumbing. They come out last summer and fixed my air conditioner. It was July 4th weekend. My air conditioner went out. Capacitor messed up. So they come out and fix that. And I got on their plan there where they come out twice a year. They look at your heat and air unit, they look at your hot water heater and all that. And so they're supposed to flush my hot water heater. But the dude that come out said you don't want to flush it when it's that old, because he said the pressure that's in there, if you mess that up, it may, I forget what all he said, but anyway, the guy that come out and checked it was real nice, so he didn't end up flushing it, which I don't know why the hell you need to flush a hot water heater anyway. Hell, mine's been in there since 2006 or 7 there. When I got the place, got the hot water heater shortly after that, so damn near 20 years. But he said it was it was showing its age. It's still functioning, but I was probably going to need one at some point in the next year or so. So that'd probably be the next thing to go at my house. Always something, man, when you got a house. Always something. You always got something to fix, something to work on. Like that barge going by. I don't know what kind of barge that is. Looks like they got fuel tanks up there. But see, that barge, he's showing some courtesy. He's giving us some space. Unlike these bass boaters that go by 20 feet away, he's actually over there on the other side of the damn river. That's the difference between a barge driver and a bass boat driver. Barge drivers got more sense. They got more courtesy. Here's what else. For those of you that likes knowing what's going on in my personal life, here's one for you. So one of these recent videos, which has probably come out recently for you, the viewer, but because I ain't been fishing as much, the videos I kind of started spacing a little farther apart. But one of them, I talked about how my neighbor's house was up for sale. And it went quickly, man. It was on the market for literally one day and sold. Well, I got me some new neighbors. They actually just moved in a couple days ago, or started the process of moving in. They've had a U-Haul out there and dropped off some stuff. I don't know them. I don't know who they are. I haven't talked with them yet. I probably won't. Although I need to. I need to talk to them about my cat, who will inevitably go down there to their house. So I may have to eventually talk to them, but I haven't spoken to them yet. And I'm trying to be consciously aware of my feelings toward them, because I don't want a new neighbor. And so my natural inclination is just to automatically hate them. I'm trying to be better than that. However, they just moved in. And I'll be damned if they ain't already blocking my driveway. Now, the way my house sits, my channel members, they've seen this. I do some videos around the house for my channel members, but for those of y'all that ain't channel members, I'll kind of explain to you how my house is. So, my house originally was on a 1 acre lot. And the driveway to the house originally was shared with this neighbor that just moved in. There's an easement there so that we both share a driveway. And then it splits off and comes up to my house, right? The part of the driveway that's concreted from the highway is evenly split. Like there's a property marker pin right in the middle of it. And it's evenly split half and half between me and them. But as the driveway splits, goes to the left for them and goes to the right for me, the property line veers off. And so my driveway crosses through part of their property. But again, I've got an easement for the driveway. Well, at some point in time, the people that had my house before I had it, they had cut another driveway in through what was their parents' property at the time behind me up to the house, because it comes in on a side road. It's easier to get in and out of than the highway. And so since I've had the house, I always use that back road, and I ended up buying the lot that connects behind my house there. So my house originally was on a 1 acre lot. I bought the other 3 acres that are behind me and go beside my property. So I got a total of 4 acres now. And so I always use the driveway in the back. But the people that just moved in front of me, they don't know that. They don't know that I don't use that front driveway. And so they've been parking in it. And so if I did want to use the front driveway, I would be blocked in. I wouldn't be able to get out. So that right there just pissed me off at them right away. I'm like, why would you assume I'm not using that driveway? They can't see the back driveway from their house. Like there's no way of knowing that I wouldn't use that driveway. So why would you just park in somebody's driveway and block it? It'd be one thing, like if they had come to me, if they come up there and knock on a door and say, hi, we're so-and-so, we're your new neighbors, just want to introduce ourselves. Well, by the way, our driveway's kind of tight and narrow. Would you mind if we parked here? I would have been okay with it, had they shown some courtesy and had respect enough to come ask me. But to just do it, and it ain't, and I know what you're saying, well, maybe, Justin, they're just moving in, they're just going to be there for a few minutes. Oh, hell no. They're parking there for hours and hours and hours. So if I wanted to get out, I would either have to drive around through their yard, which you bet your ass I would, or go knock on their door and ask them to move it. So, again, I'm fighting off the urge to just automatically hate them because I don't want a new neighbor. But they're making it very difficult for me to like them when they do something so disrespectful, I guess. And maybe I'm overreacting to it, but I have to believe that some of you out there who maybe share a driveway with a neighbor, or maybe you live in a place where you have street parking and somebody parks in front of your house or your driveway or whatever. Some of y'all out there will probably be pissed off about it too. But here's going to be the thing, and this day's coming, folks. So, for whatever reason, my area has a lot of dead trees. I think a few years ago there was some kind of bug or beetle or something that it killed a lot of the big trees. It got in there and bored in and it killed them. And a lot of these trees are mature trees. Like my house, I've got a small front yard, and then in front of that is woods. And I've left them woods up there versus extending the yard because it's a buffer between my house and the highway. It helps keep some of the noise down. But a lot of them trees are mature and they're dead. And some of them have fallen. The tops have fallen out of them. One fell last year, and hell, it still looked like it was alive. I mean, it had leaves and everything, but it just snapped in half. And you look at the inside of it, it's all hollowed out and rotted and stuff. Well, there's one tree right beside my driveway. It's tall, super tall. It's probably 40 feet tall. And it's obviously dead. Like the bark's falling off, and the base of the trunk at the bottom, I mean, it's big and round. But as you get up to the top of it, it chokes down, it whittles down, and then the top of it gets real big again. I think the woodpeckers have just gone to town on that one area, and they've whittled it down. Well, every time we get high winds, I just expect that tree to fall. And the way the top of it's leaning, when it does go, it's going to take out the power lines that go from the transformer on the pole at my neighbor's house up to my house. And so I'd called utility board back over a year ago now. I'd called for my previous neighbor who used to live there because she had a tree that was up in the power lines where the transformer is. And she was worried about it falling on her house, so I called the utility board on her behalf, and I said, hey, we got these trees, and it's going to take out the power lines and they fall. And so a dude come out, I showed him a tree, and then I showed him the one that's further up by my driveway. I said, that one there is going to do some real damage when it falls. It's not going to hit a house, but it's so big, there's such a big part of the top, when it hits those power lines, it's probably going to take them down. He's like, oh, yeah, we'll take care of that. Well, he leaves and then never comes back. Like nothing ever happens until tree trimming crew shows up, and they wasn't making a special trip out there. They were just doing their normal routine whatever, and they tore up my yard. I told that story on videos last year. I was so pissed off. They drove their heavy machinery through my yard and cut these big ruts in there, 4 or 5 inches. I was pissed. Never could get back in touch with the tree trimmer guy either. Can't get a return call when you're pissed off and got something to complain about. But anyway, I had told that guy when I made the report there about the other trees, he knew about it. The tree trimming crew come and trim branches and whatnot down through there. But did they do anything about that tree? They did not. So I've done my part, right? Like, I know it's going to fall at some point. One of these big storms, the wind's going to blow just right. It's going to take it out, and it's going to fall in them power lines. And I'm going to lose power when it happens because it's going to knock them out. But I've done all I can do. I've called them. They know about it. I tried calling them back when they tore up my yard. I couldn't get anything done about it. No return call. I went out there to the utility board office. Of course, the guy's never there. You can't get shit done. You cannot get any shit done when you got a problem. So I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not calling them back. I'm just going to let that damn tree fall. Well, again, these new neighbors, they're parking down there in my driveway. Now, again, the way the land runs, and it'd be easier if you could see it, but like the land, the property goes up a driveway. Like, say the driveway's here. We're splitting that driveway. And then the property marker veers off at an angle. And my driveway comes around this way. So that dead tree is actually on my neighbor's property. Now, they can't do anything with that little strip of land because of my driveway easement, but it's on their property. But they're parking right there by that damn tree. So if it falls, or I should say when it falls, if their car is parked there, it's going, I mean, and it's a big tree, folks. I mean, like the top of it, it's big. I mean, it would kill somebody if it landed on them. And I would have to think that it's going to crush in the top of their car when it falls. But these dumbasses, they're just parking right there. And we had a windstorm recently, last week or sometime there, before they moved in. And some big limbs got knocked out into their yard. And you would think when they moved into this place, they'd see them big limbs there and maybe look up in the sky and the trees and be like, oh crap, you know, some of these trees around our house here's dead. But apparently they ain't paid attention. So they're parking right under that dead tree that's leaning toward their car and the power lines. I ain't saying shit about it. If they're going to be rude and park in my driveway and block it for hours at a time, I'm just going to let that damn tree fall. When Mother Nature decides it's time to take out that tree, I'm just going to let it fall. And if their car's there, so be it. The utility board, they had 2 opportunities. They had the opportunity when I told them about it, and they had an opportunity a few months later when the tree trimming crew come. They didn't do anything about it. They can come out there and clean up the mess and clean up the power lines. I'm not going to waste any more time with it. You can't get anybody to do anything. Nobody wants to fool with it. Nobody wants to hear it. So, anyway, folks, I got me some new neighbors. I don't want to talk to them. I don't think they want to talk to me either, else they'd probably already come up and introduce themselves. I need to figure out something with my cat. So I got them 2 cats last fall. My channel members, y'all have seen them. And it was my previous neighbor's cat. She left them there to die. They were starving. They were in bad shape. I ended up taking 2 of them in. They've worked out well at my house. They've acclimated well. My girlfriend has acclimated to them. Everybody's happy with the cats. One of them doesn't want to go outside. Like, he'll go out on the porch if I'm grilling a steak, but he's immediately ready to go right back in. He's fully adapted to being an indoor cat. The other one, though, still likes to go outside, and he'll go outside for a few hours a day on the nicer weather. Now, if it's freezing cold, he'll go to the door like he wants to go out. I'll open it up, and he'll sit there and look at it. sniff around a minute and turn around and go back in the house. But on the nicer weather days, he is content going out for a few hours at a time, and he'll go roam around. And I've seen him go down there to the neighbor's house where he come from. And so I probably need to talk to these people and just let them know, like, hey, my cat's going to show up at your house. I could put a collar on him. I hate to do that because he's mostly an indoor cat. But I could put a collar on him just to kind of let it be known that he's somebody's cat. Like, don't take him in. Because if they happen to like cats and they open the door for him, he's coming in. Like, he's going to go in there. He's going to make himself right at home in their home because, hell, that used to be his home. My girlfriend's very worried about it. She's not a cat person at all, or wasn't a cat person. And she does have a slight allergy to cats. It's not like a anaphylactic or anything, but like she has to take allergy shots. But she really likes this cat. She's took a liking to it for it. It chooses her as its human. And she never had animals growing up because her sister has really bad allergies. So they were never able to have pets as a kid. And so the fact that this cat chooses her and prefers her to me, I think she's took a real liking to it. And she's worried that this cat's going to go down there and they're going to end up taking it in and not letting it back out, and it just basically disappears one day. So I need to talk to them people, but I don't want to. I don't want to have human interaction. Look at Bird. Look at Loon, buddy. He's flapping them. You come over here, Loon, I'll feed you a shad. I better not. He won't leave us alone if I do that. Where'd this wind come from, officer? You hearing that on the microphone? The wind just suddenly picked up. Just out of nowhere. Ain't supposed to be windy today. Hopefully it'll die down here in a second. Either way, we're going into it, so it ain't going to be like a nuisance situation other than just blowing in my face. If it was blowing this hard, coming from behind us, it'd be blowing us forward, spinning the back end of the kayak around. But because we're going into it, it ain't a huge deal other than the fact it might blow my damn hat off. Lord, hang on to my hat, y'all. I just got me a new hat the other day. My other one was getting so worn out and dirty, I busted out a new hat. Kayak Catfish hat, available at catfishsumo.com. Anybody wants them? Code word kayak, save you 10%. Anyway, I'm done with my sales pitch. Anyway, I probably need to talk to these neighbors. And I probably should say something about the driveway. I don't care. I don't ever use that driveway. I mean, I might have to in an emergency situation, but I don't use it. But it's just the principle of it. They don't know that I don't use it. So why would you just park right in the middle of somebody's driveway and block it if you don't know that they might need to get out? I just do it. I wouldn't do that. Like, it's not, and granted, not everybody's like me, but I just don't understand people. There's no courtesy left. Like, we're out here today and these boats going by 20 foot apart from us. Okay, just ain't no courtesy left. There's no courtesy left in this world. That's why I try to keep my human interaction to the bare minimum. I don't have a desire to talk to anybody. Me interacting with people through this video right here is about as much interaction as I want. That's it. And I really only want that because I'm basically out here just talking to my damn self. Instead of me having these conversations in my head, I have them out loud. If I had I don't know, well, they'd probably 18 people still watching this video. If all 18 of you was out here with me, I wouldn't want to be talking to 18 people. It's too big a group. I don't like big groups. I'm a one-on-one kind of guy. A lot of people say, well, Justin, we had the Catfish Conference recently. Justin, why don't you go to Catfish Conference? I just don't. I've been up there before. I had a good time when I went. I enjoyed it when I went. But the anxiety of thinking about going with that many people, I talk myself out of it. I talk myself out of it. Unless I have an obligation forcing me to go, and Catfish Sumo didn't get a booth again this year, so I didn't have any obligation to go. I can't make myself do it. I can't do people. It's possible, folks, that when my area, where I live, when we eventually get a grocery delivery service, like some of these grocery stores, I think maybe Walmart or Amazon, I've seen the advertisements on TV. I can't think of what company it is, but some of them do like grocery deliveries. Like you put in your grocery order and they bring it to your house an hour later. My local Walmart, they have people that will get your groceries, but you got to go to the store and pick it up and they bring it out your car. And I don't do that because I don't want some weirdo that picks their nose handling my produce. But if the day ever come that grocery delivery services was possible at my area, and if the day ever come that my midlife crisis was to end and I stopped buying them wrestling figures that I have to go to Walmart to get, it's possible that I may go for weeks at a time with no human interaction other than my immediate circle, like girlfriend, close friends, family. Because the only thing I go out in public for now is really grocery store or when I'm looking for a wrestling figure, which right now I'm looking for Jake the Snake. I mean, y'all got eyes on him out there. I finally found the last series of figures that came out, them WWE Superstars, Walmart exclusive. They come out in November. It took me till January. On my way home from Florida, I stopped off at a Walmart in northern Florida, and they had Bret Hart. And I was able to finish off. I'd found Cactus Jack at home, but I got Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart in Florida there. The new series is out now. They come out in February. Jake the Snake, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and Eddie Guerrero. I ain't seen them yet. So I'm on the look. I'm on the prowl. They've announced the first figure from the next series coming out sometime in the summer. It's going to be the Great Muta. He's going to have 2 different figures. There's actually 2 different versions of Jake the Snake that's supposed to be out in this series, but I ain't found them. I ain't seen them yet. I'm going to get them when I do, though. But when my midlife crisis ends and I quit reliving my childhood and buying these damn figures, and when grocery store services start delivering to your house, I'm not going to have any human interaction at all. Like, I'm going to be a total hermit. And you know what? I'm kind of looking forward to it. People, man, sometimes, like, if I can go somewhere and observe people, like people watch, but not interact, I'm okay with that. Like here recently, me and my girlfriend, well, it was on Valentine's Day actually, we went to what was it called? It's like a Cirque du Soleil show, and it was at the Westtown Mall in Knoxville, out in their parking lot. They had this big canopy set up. And it was an Italian circus. Like it was paranormal circus, paranormal cirque, paranormal Cirque du Soleil. It was basically a circus acts with like a paranormal or an adult twist to it. Anyway, we went up there. It was on Valentine's Day. I took her up there. She wanted to go. So we went out to eat and went to the circus show. And when you think of circuses, at least when I think of a circus, you think of the freak show, right? Like these circuses used to have a freak show. Oh, we got a fish. This fish he said, I'll show you a freak show, Justin. Let's reel one in here in front of this bass boat. Good timing. Good timing on this boat to go by. He's looking too, he's seen it. He's jealous as hell right now. He ain't caught a damn thing all day. He couldn't catch a cold out here in that bass boat, and here we are reeling in a fish right in front of him. This fish couldn't have bitten at a better time. I'm proud of you, fish. It had been a minute too since we got a bite, so glad to get another bite. He ain't gonna be very big, but I don't give a crap. I wanted to get another fish, and I wanted to do it right in front of Bass Boater. We'll see when we get him up here. I think he's probably gonna be a dink to a smaller fun sizer. Thinking more I reel him in here, the more I'm thinking he's probably just gonna be a dink. We've been real fortunate today. The few fish we've caught, which I don't know how many we're up to now, but we've had some good quality overall. Like half of our fish have been good quality, with a couple big ones mixed in. Today's a good day. We're not using much bait. Hell, I may just come back down here and fish tomorrow too. All right, there's our sinker. Yeah, that's a small one right there. He's got that bait wedged in his mouth. I don't even know if he's got the hook. Look at this bait. Look at that bait right there. He's literally wedged in his mouth. I can't tell if the hook's got him or not. Yeah, it does have him. Let me have the hook. You can keep the bait. Oh, we got another fish on, folks. We got another fish on this other side. There, you keep the bait, fish. We'll see you. We'll see you. Get on out of here. I'm gonna put this rod up. We got another one on the other rod. Over here, on the head bait. We just went through some right here in this little opening of this. I don't even know what that is. I don't know if that's a creek or a cove. I've never fished up this far before. We're in new water for me. But I may just come back down here. I may come back down here tomorrow. I mean, just take the same daggone path. Because these fish, I mean, you get out here on these, like where we're fishing at, man. They're just going to be working through. And they're clearly here for a reason, probably going in and out of these coves and pockets and stuff. There's one, y'all just checked your phone. Somebody dinged me, but y'all thought it was you. One of you's out there, I guarantee you heard that and checked your phone. We got to get some more baits on. Here's what I'm going to do. When we get this one up here, before we land him, I'm going to go ahead and cut another bait. We'll get the other line going back out, and we'll just switch out this head bait too while we're at it. Oh, I think he just come off. Dadgummit, he did. He just come off. We fought him that whole way and come off. Let's see what this head looks like. We can go ahead and send it back out if it looks okay. Yeah, let's just switch it out. Let's do it. It's a good time to switch. Got plenty of bait, so no reason not to. Oh, skipjack, getting it done today. Finally got back on some skipjack. I feel like we done pretty good with it. Would we have done better today if we had some gizzard shad? Maybe, I don't know, but I'm not displeased with the number and size of fish that we have gotten. So far, no snags with our new dragging setup. We've not had any kind of they've not even caught on anything, you know, sometimes you're dragging along, you don't necessarily get a snag, but your sinker will catch stuff. And you'll see your rod, like, it'll load up and then it'll pull free, and it'll load up and pull free. We've not even had any of that with these sinkers. So far, so good with them. Put this chunk on. Here comes the wind again. I don't know about the wind, folks. I don't know what's up with that. It's just gusting out of nowhere. All right. The motor will compensate for it here in a minute. Right now, it's got the damn kayak going backwards. Come on, motor, get it going here. Get us situated. What the hell's going on with that thing? Wind's almost like it's hitting us from this angle. What was I talking about before we had all that commotion? Oh, the paranormal circus thing. So, anyway, we go up there to this show. Did that feel? Let me check, make sure y'all ain't got water all over the lens. You good? We good on the water and the lens. We go up there to the show, and the circus performers were really good. Like I'll flip that bale over right there, I think. The circus performers did a good job. Like all of them were very talented, and they done some crazy stunts. If that show comes to your area, I forget exactly what it's called. Paranormal circus? Paranormal something. Anyway, it was all over social media. I guess they were targeting ads in my area. So if it comes to your area, you will inevitably see the ads for it. But it's worth going to. I think tickets were like $35 maybe. I'm wanting to say after ticket fees and all that, it was like $80 for both of us to go. So I mean, it's reasonably priced. It was a really good show. So anyhow, we're up there, and even though the circus performers are putting on their show, the best performances was the people that you saw walking into this event. Because, I mean, it brought out all the freaks. I mean, they're out there in full costumes, which they probably just wear in their regular life anyway. But, like, I mean, they were just out there. I'm like, you see these people on TV and social media, but I'm like, here they are in real life. They do exist. But a situation like that, where I'm out in public, but I don't have to interact, I can just sit back and observe, I'm okay with that. I don't want to do it all the time, but I'm okay with that. But yeah, it was a spectacle, folks. It was something. And some of them circus performers too, I mean, like, their ability to contort their body. I mean, some of them girls, they're up there on them trapeze things. I think that's what they're called. And like they're doing the splits, but their legs, like their ankles come up higher than their hips almost. Like it's, Lord, if I'd rip my groin plumb off the bone if I even attempted such a thing. It's crazy. I guess so. I guess they're just like carnies, modern day carnies. They go town to town, and they were in my area, I think, for a week. They had a couple shows a day for like a week. And it was up there in the mall parking lot. And they set up a big canopy thing, and Tickets was, everything was done online, like you had your phone, they zapped your phone on the way in. And it was packed, man. The show we went to, of course, it was Valentine's Day. I imagine Valentine's probably going to sell out just for something unique to do on Valentine's Day. Ain't a lot to do in my area, folks. Ain't a lot of big acts comes to East Tennessee. But it was packed. I'm pretty sure it sold out. Here's another update for you too. I think I talked about one of these videos recently. Finally got my bowling ball drilled, me and my girlfriend both. We had reached out to a place in Maryville, and they had told us it was going to be April before they could do a fitting for us. And then it's going to be even longer than that to actually get the balls drilled. Well, I called over to the Oak Ridge bowling alley, and their dude over there could do it any time. So we went over there, and he measured our hands and everything, and drilled our bowling balls for us, and we was able to test them out, make sure everything felt good. And we went ahead and played while we was there. And so now, my bowling ball, folks, it's got a shark on it. One side's got like a shark fin coming out of the water. This catfish is gonna come out of the water if he gets that bait, by God. He nipped it. But one side of my bowling ball, it's got a shark fin, and the other side's got like jaws, like a big shark, like a big great white with its mouth open. And it looks cool just in regular lighting. But we went, what day was it? It's this past Friday. We went over there, and it's pretty cheap to bowl over there in Oak Ridge. You can bowl 3 games, because we got our own shoes and everything, so we don't have to pay shoe room. But you can bowl 3 games, and it's like $19 and something. It's pretty cheap compared to the other places in Knoxville. So we went over there on Friday, thinking we was going to bowl for $19 and change. Well, we got there too late. Here comes the wind again, gusting out of nowhere. That fish just hit that rod over again too. He's after it, buddy. He wants that bait. He don't want me telling you about the bowling alley, apparently. Make up your mind, you fish. You old fish, you. If you want these people to reel you in, you'll bite right now. Hell, I guess he don't want you to reel him in. Well, I told him. I gave him the ultimatum. But anyhow, we went over there, and it was too close. Oh, there's one. He hit that rod. Y'all reel that in for me. Oh, no, he let it go. Yeah, he let it go. Just a tease. Boy, they don't want me telling you about the bowling alley. I'm gonna try to get this story out. But anyhow, we got there too close to the, what they call a cosmic bowling. It's where they turn the lights off at night and turn the black lights on. And that bowling alley over in Oak Ridge, it's pretty run down. Like I'd rather them leave the lights on where you can actually see, because most of the time you go to one of them cosmic bowling type things, all these bowling alleys got their own version of it, but it's lit up enough that you can still see the little triangle marks in the front of the bowling lane. Well, this one, it's pitch black dark, you can't see them, and I need them damn triangles to be able to throw the rock adequately. But anyhow, we had to pay a little more because it was too close to the cosmic bowling. We had to do it. But I'll tell you what, man, having a ball that's drilled for a left-handed, that's not only drilled for me and my hand, but for a left-handed person, because like if you go up there and just get a bowling ball, just, you know, for the public to use there at the bowling alley, they're all drilled for right-handed people. Having a left-handed drilled ball, it makes a huge difference. So we're throwing the rock pretty regularly now. That's going to be the plan, that we got our own balls. And I had my own bowling shoes from well, it was all the way back in college. I got them at the Kmart back in the day. That was back when Kmart was still in business, and that was back when you could buy bowling equipment at the Kmart. I remember Kmart had a bowling section. You could buy bowling balls, shoes, bags, everything there. That's probably what put them out of business. They wasted too much floor space on things that nobody was buying. But I had my shoes forever. I took bowling as a PE class in college. So I still had them, and I got me this ball and a bag, and I'd got my girlfriend a bowling ball and bag and some shoes for Christmas. That was one of her Christmas presents. And so yeah, we're going to be going a lot more now. We got our own stuff. It's a lot better. That first time, though, when we went and had our balls drilled over there in Oak Ridge, we went ahead and thought, well, let's play while we're here, try these things out. And man, they must have just oiled the lanes or something there when we went, because that first time, my first throw, I damn near busted my ass, man. My shoes, my feet I come real close to biting the dust. Since then, it's been fine. But that first night, man, they must have, I don't know if they'd just oiled them or they'd accidentally got a little too much on our lane, but like, it was a slip and slide getting up there to try to throw the ball. But my ball, though, man, in them black lights, Jaws, his mouth like lights up. It's pretty badass. My girlfriend, she's a big Los Angeles Dodgers fan. She liked them back when they wasn't no good. She's not a bandwagon person just because now they're buying these World Series, but like she liked them back for her whole life, back when they wasn't any good. And I got her bowling ball. It's got the Dodgers on there, logo. Hell, I wouldn't mind going bowling tonight. We get done with this video, I may shoot her a message, see if she wants to go play tonight. Of course, hell, it's going to take me. We've come so far up from where I've launched at. It's going to take me a long time to get back. Although with the current and the wind going that way, I'll be going a little quicker when I go back. But either way, it's still going to take a while to get back to the car. I may, though, y'all. We've had such a good day with not only the number of fish, but, I mean, the quality, too. I may try it again tomorrow. Come back and hit this same daggone area. And we may not do a bit of good tomorrow. But, boy, if we do, I mean, if these fish, today's a little bit warmer day. Tomorrow's supposed to be a couple degrees warmer, like, if them fish have been really buried down and not eating much and they're starting to turn on and feed, like, it's possible we could really get in them. And like I said, I'm pretty inconsistent in the winter, so if I pick out some other random place tomorrow, ain't no guarantee we're going to do any good there. I may just do it. I'll kick back and relax again now that we ain't getting nipped at the moment. I don't know how many fish we've caught today. I done lost count. I'm gonna get me a clicker. I'm thinking about doing something. This is breaking news for some of yous here. I'm not going to give out all the details of it right now because, you know, these other YouTubers are. They already, if a video does well, they'll copy your title word for word and try to emulate what you're doing. So I ain't going to say what I'm going to do just yet exactly. But I'm thinking about getting me one of them clickers. You know, count stuff, count fish. Because I'm thinking about taking on a year-long, well, it won't technically be a year, but 9-month, let's say, project here on the YouTube. Kicking around the idea of it. I may talk to my channel members a little bit about it, see what they think about it before I commit. because it would be a commitment. It would be to do what I'm thinking about doing would take a full commitment. Like, I couldn't half-ass it. And even taking on this commitment, like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know that it can be done. I mean, somebody can do it. I don't know that I can do it. But it would be a whole year-long, well, 9 months, the remaining. I would run it from basically spring through Christmas is when I would want to do it as far as YouTube goes. But it would be a whole video series. And I may do it. I don't know. TBD. That's a little breaking news for you there, folks. Nothing's really going to change as far as the videos and whatnot. I mean, I'll still be putting out videos pretty regularly, but I won't be adhering to a schedule, and it'll be this project. We're going to be working toward a goal, I guess you could say. So we'll see. Right now, I want to do it. We'll see here another week or two if I still feel like I'm not going to commit to it just yet. I want to see how I feel another week or two, see if I'm still excited about it. This is my 10th year on YouTube, folks. 2025, this is my 10th year. Kinda. I think my first video was posted in like 2015, but it wasn't meant to be a video. It was just, I was out of storage space. I needed a place to put a video file. I didn't mean for it to be a YouTube video per se. But 2016, I put out a few videos. 2017 is when I kind of really got going at it, but 2016 I put out a few videos. So 2016 to now, 2025, like this is my 10th year that we're in. And so I kind of want to do something. Like try to really accomplish something in this 10th year. I don't know how many more years I'm going to do this. I don't know that I never imagined I'd still be doing YouTube. If you talked to me in 2016, 2017, I would have never thought I'd still be doing this 10 years later. So I kind of want to, with each passing year, I'm getting closer to the end of my time on YouTube. I kind of want to go out with a bang whenever it happens, you know? Like do something exciting. Try to accomplish something on here. And I think I know what I want to do. I don't know if it's possible. But the fact I don't know if it's possible is also part of the challenge of it. And kind of makes me want to do it just to see if I can. And I'll certainly eat a bunch of crow if I can't do it. The boo birds will be happy to watch me fail. But, you know, you just gotta work towards stuff in life, folks. You gotta set goals for yourself and do stuff that makes you excited. And part of me's kind of excited about it. I don't know how interesting it would be from a video perspective. I don't know how many, those of you in the audience, I don't know how many of you all would really get behind it. I don't know if you all would be as excited about it as I am. But the beauty of having your own YouTube channel and making your own decisions is that if it makes you excited, you can do whatever the hell you want. And whoever wants to watch and is excited about it like you are can come along for the journey. And whoever ain't excited about it can go find other channels to watch. You know, there's options out there for everybody. There's plenty of other stuff to watch on YouTube. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to give away too many details. Like I said, if I tell you right now on this open platform, what I'm going to do or what I want to do, inevitably some other YouTuber will immediately think, that's a great idea, let me go do that. So I'm going to keep it under wraps for the time being, but just know something is potentially coming. Some big spring through Christmas. I'm going to cut my last video. This is one big thing that I will tell you about that's going to change in subsequent years, assuming I still, you know, continue to do YouTube on a full-time or at least semi-full-time basis. At some point I will cut back voluntarily, although I probably won't ever just like fully stop, because I mean, you know, having a business around what you love to do is good for tax purposes. But at some point I will cut back from putting out as many videos as what I do. Get back to just fishing a little bit more off camera, which I never do anymore, unless it's a bait run. But next year, well, this year after Christmas, I'm going to take a break, a pause, if you will. Every year since I have started this channel, with the exception of last year, 2024. Well, you know, even last year, because, well, my video, really, it was January, things started to drop off. So even this year, this past year, last year I was really rolling, doing really good in 2024. Switching to these long format videos, just, it was so amazing for my channel. I put in all new highs monthly. Every month I was busting new highs. I am going to next year, though, or after Christmas, 2025, take a break from posting videos. For all of January, all of February for sure. I'll probably take off part of March as well. And the reason for that is just because every year, for 10 years now, there is a big drop-off in views in the winter months. People just, you know, there's hardcore fishermen out there like you and I that fish year-round. Here comes the wind again. It's just periodically gusting. I didn't know it was going to be like this today. But you know, there are hardcore fishermen like me and you that do this year-round. But from a YouTube video, fishing video perspective, most people that consume fishing content on YouTube, it's a seasonal thing. Like, you get your bulk of your views in the spring and summer. After Labor Day, it tails off through January, February, where it really bottoms out. And then once you get into spring again, you get a boost. Every year, I get out in the winter, at least the days that I can anyway, in good weather, and I try to grind and hustle and get enough videos to put out to keep my channel going consistently all winter long, even though the views fall off drastically every year. And I think next year I want to quit fighting that cycle. That I just like to, if YouTube is going to treat fishing videos as a seasonal thing, then I think I would like to treat it as a seasonal thing too. Now, I will still fish in the winter like I do now. When the weather's good, I'll be out. But it would be a good opportunity for me to kind of get off the hamster wheel for a little while, get out of the grind, if you will, of like feeling like I have to put out a video all the time. And it would give me an opportunity too to get some fishing done off camera where I could try some new things. Like, one of the things I used to do all the time, every year I would pick a project of some kind. Like, I would do some long-term project. Like, I might spend a summer putting skipjack right next to bluegill. Like, that's how I can tell you that skipjack is a better bait where I live than bluegill, because I've spent months putting them side by side every trip out to see that skipjack outperforms bluegill. Most of the time, not 100% of the time, but most of the time anyway. And so I used to do projects like that. But since I got into doing YouTube, like full-time, year-round, it really cuts into what I can do. Because if you try something, if you try a new project or a new experiment, and it doesn't work, you're missing out on making videos. Like, I feel like I have to get out videos consistently, and you do have to do that, or you kind of get punished in the algorithm if you don't. So it doesn't allow me to try really long, like, to really give something a full run. Like, the last thing I done would have been, I guess, 2019. or I did a year-long experiment, if you will. And that was in 2019. What I had done is prior to 2019, I had been kind of somebody who moved a lot. Like, I never spent much time on a spot. Even if I was anchor fishing, I would fish at 20, 30 minutes. If I didn't get a bite, I'd move. 2019, though, I said, I'm going to do the exact opposite. I'm going to pick one spot for every trip, and I'm going to sit there for the duration. If I fish 4 hours that day, all 4 hours on that spot. If I fish 6 hours, all 6 hours on that spot. And I want to compare, see how it does. And it was one of the best year, probably the best year of fishing I ever had when I done that. And it really changed how I fish. But I haven't been able to really do any multi-month or year-long experiments since then, because I'm dependent upon getting regular videos because, doing this for keep the lights on and stuff. And so taking off for 2 or 3 months after Christmas, like when it's a time period where I'm not going to be able to, here comes that wind, boy, it's gusting. I hope it's not messing up the microphone. I got the fancy pants microphone on, so hopefully it's okay. But it would be a time period where not getting a lot of views anyway, and I'm not fishing as much anyway. So it would allow me some opportunities to get off the hamster wheel, I could try something, like say I wanted to do, and I kind of know something I want to try, which again, I'm not going to really let it out of the bag just yet, but I could spend 3 months working on it, whatever it is. And then when spring rolls back around, maybe mid-March, kind of get back on the grind again and get out and start making videos and do it from like mid to late March through Christmas again the following year, if I feel compelled. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to just not post videos January, February, maybe part of March following year. I think I'm going to start treating it more like again, fishing's not seasonal for me. I do it year round. Less in the winter, but I still fish whenever I can in the winter. But the views, the average person out there who consumes fishing content goes away in the winter. Like they watch other things or they don't watch as often. It's a big drop every year. And every year I fight it. And it's never, I haven't found out a way around it really. I just haven't. This past year, 2024, I didn't have the big drop in views after Labor Day like I normally do. But that was because the 4-hour videos, I have no idea why those done so well, but they were just doing well, and those continued on all the way up through January, really, and then they kind of fell off in February. But yeah, I think that's one thing for sure that I'm going to do, and I hope, like I think I know what I want to do, what I want to work on in my off time. If that works out, when I come back in the spring, we'll have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about and a whole bunch of stuff to show you. And even if it don't work out, let's say it's a total flop and it don't work and I'm not any good at it, whatever, then still when I come back in the spring and start doing more videos, like I'm going to be rejuvenated because I will have taken a break from YouTube. And I know that seems silly, it seems silly just me talking about it. Like it's YouTube. It's not like it's hard. It's not hard to do this. But it's just the commitment of it. It's that feeling like you have to do it all the time. Because YouTube, when I have a normal job, back when I was working as a nurse, when I would clock out of work, I was done. My work day was over. On my off days, I was off work. When you're doing YouTube, or really if you're just running your own business, I'm sure this will be relatable to a lot of you out there who run your own business. there's never any real downtime. There's always something that needs to be done. And if you are taking downtime, you can't really enjoy it because you feel like you should be doing something productive. And it's just a different mindset, I guess, if you will. So I think it'll do me some good. I think it'll be rejuvenating to get away from a little while. I think it will give me an opportunity to take some chances and do some stuff that I really just don't have time for, because I need to get out so many videos during the year when the fishing is good. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. This will be the last year of year-round content, if you will. We'll just start taking off January, February, and part of March. I'll probably start it back middle to late March. You know, usually, golly bum, I apologize, y'all, about the wind noise if it's getting on the microphone. It is really gusting. I can't believe this. It was not supposed to be like this today. Just kind of, I don't know, it's just ramping up here as the afternoon goes on. I don't even remember what I was going to say now. I just completely lost that train of thought. Like a fart in the wind, it's gone, buddy. I don't even know what I was about to say. I have no clue. I was just, the words were coming out of my mouth, from my brain, out my mouth. The wind gusted really hard, and I lost what I was going to say. I hope I'm not the only one that happens to. I hope I'm not alone in that. I have to write stuff down all the time, folks. Like if I have an idea, like, well, for instance, this thing that I'm thinking about doing here, starting in the spring, I wrote down, like I'm a pen and paper kind of guy. Like I'm writing down, I'm brainstorming. Because if I don't, the thought will leave me and it will never come back. Like if I don't write it down, it's gone. So I got an iPhone, but there's a notes tab in there in your iPhone. I use it all the time. Like if I'm out somewhere and I think of something, I write it down. If I need to get something at the store, I write it down. Appointments, I put them on there because I'll forget. Like I write everything down. And I find that to be helpful. It helps me to write it down, especially if I can actually write it on like pen and paper. I think that helps me sort through stuff a little better if I can actually physically write it out versus typing it into a phone. Yeah, I still have no clue what I was about to say. That probably wasn't important, no way. Hell, ain't but 4 or 5 of you still watching anyhow. That's all right, though. I've had a good day regardless out here, folks. It's been, I'm gonna slide over just a little bit to the left. We're 36 feet here. I'm kind of on, it's showing I'm on the drop right now. I want to be just right on the edge there. There's a fish too, by the way. The water temp's actually getting colder as we move up river. It's 46.9 now. That's interesting. But I've had a good day no matter what. My day's made, y'all. We got them big fish like we got. We still ain't caught nothing on our live shad back here. Working these shad, it would be probably better served in the creeks or out here on the flats when we don't have the current. I don't know that today was the best day to be doing this live bait deal. I thought we might as well do it because again, it's not interfering with what we're doing for the catfish. So anything we would get on those live shad would just be a bonus. Be a bonus fish, if you will. I'm gonna throw these out here. We got some more dead ones. We still got 6 or 8 in there. It's still alive, which is pretty good for no aeration. That water, being cold like it is, helps them survive a little longer, and I think us taking the dead ones out has been helpful too. Feeding the birds out here. I'll probably, assuming I come back out here tomorrow, which I think I probably will, if this wind, as long as it dies down, I'll come back out tomorrow. But on the way out, if I see shad, I'll probably just go ahead and we'll try it again. Might as well. Today was easy. I mean, literally one throw. I was coming out, I saw herons lined up on the bank. I said, there's the bait. That's where they at. Them herons ain't there for no good reason. One thing about, though, coming up through here is the catfish bite has definitely slacked off a little bit the further we've got up through here. Like there was a few stretches there we were getting bit more consistently, but it could be like over here. I mean, you can see how the flat is widened out a little bit here. We're a lot farther away from the bank now. And, on back down, when we were coming up, we had those creeks and pockets and stuff much closer to us. So them fish were probably, that we were coming across, they're out there on that flat, kind of staged up out there in front of those places to go in and feed. And up through here, there's something up here on the left. It looks like it goes back in there a little ways. But down through here, there's really nothing. So maybe that's why we're not getting bit through here. It'll be interesting to see, like if we don't, common sense would say you're going to have more fish staged out in front of the pockets and creeks and stuff so they can easily go up in there. But we will prove that to be true if we continue on this path that we're on here and we don't get bit up through here. We will prove that to be true. And then tomorrow we can kind of maybe play around a little more with that, dial that in a little bit. Today even, like we could have, when we got that big fish there earlier, and we had that other fish bite shortly thereafter it, we could have just hit the spot lock and sat there. Maybe tomorrow we do that. Maybe that's something we consider tomorrow. If we hook a big fish, hit the spot lock, sit there for 10 or 15 minutes, see what happens. Because, with these dragging rigs, with the current, like when we let out our line, they'll be behind us a little bit. So that won't be an issue. We may do that tomorrow. It may be something we do. I'm happy we kept moving today because we've covered a lot of water and we've been able to catch a lot of fish. If we're stopping every time we catch a fish, or at least a decent fish anyway, then we're not going to be covering as much water. But like tomorrow, if we take the same path and this stretch here turns out to be not productive, well, we wouldn't necessarily want to work all the way up here again anyway. I need to check my battery too, by gosh, because we got a long ways to go to get back to the car. Let me pull this thing up. I'm using that, oh yeah, we're good. Not using much battery going this slow. I'm using that EnjoyBot battery this time. I got 2 new batteries, which I had talked about in previous videos. They're light enough I could technically put both of them in here, but as long as I'm responsible and don't go full speed if we had come all the way up to here full speed and then went all the way full speed back to the car, we'd probably kill that battery. But me going full speed to get where we started at, then going 0.5 mile an hour up through here, and I'll go full speed back to the car, like we're good. I'll run it down certainly on the way back, but we're good. Most of my trips, though, I'm usually close to the car. Like I rarely make a run of more than a mile to where I'm going to be starting. Now today's a little bit different because I ran, hell, probably a mile and a half to where we started, and then we've been going a half a mile an hour the opposite way for hell over 3 hours now. So we're a mile and a half forward. So I'm probably, by the time I get done up here, I'm probably going to be 3 or 4 miles from the car. It'll probably take me an hour to get back. I should probably wrap this up soon because the sun's up right now. What time is it? 4 something. 4:14. It gets dark fairly early, so we'll go up here a little bit further and probably wrap this up. I want to see if we get anything through here. I don't think we're going to, but I kind of wanted to see if there's anything up through here. So we know tomorrow to not come up this far, but after that, I'll probably just go ahead and, my day's made anyway. I wasn't planning on fishing until dark, but now that I've realized just how far away from the car I am, I will probably go ahead and start heading back soon. That way I can ensure that I get back before dark. Because once that sun goes over the trees, even though it's been a comfortable day, it's going to get cold. I have had a good day though. I hope y'all have enjoyed it today, because it's anytime in the winter where I can go out and catch several fish and get some big fish too, like that's a extra special day to me. Spring, summer, fall, I don't think not that I don't enjoy it, I certainly do, but I don't know that I appreciate it as much because it happens so much more frequently during those months. But this time of year, when I have a lot more skunk days, when you come out and you have a really good day, it just means a little more, I guess. And come out, like I said too earlier, I was kind of talking about the planer boards, running a bunch of rods and stuff. Anytime that I come out and I'm fishing with 2 rods, which I know today we were fishing 4, but really we were fishing 2 for catfish. The other rods behind us, the live shad, those were kind of just bonus fish, just try to get some extra stuff, different species and whatnot. For catfishing though, we're running 2 rods. Anytime I come out and I have a productive day and I'm only running 2 rods, those days mean more to me too. I just feel more accomplished. I don't know why I feel that way, but I just do. Well, I guess because I am more accomplished with it. If I'm sitting on a place and I've got 4 rods out, got double the baits is what we're running here today, it's not as big a challenge to catch the number of fish as we've got today and whatnot. Size is, I mean, you gotta be where the big fish are at to have a chance of catching them, but still, there's something about it in my mind that I just appreciate it more when I'm rocking 2 rods. And most of my trips this year, well, all of my trips that I'm running, that I'm dragging, will be 2 rods. When I'm in my Hobie Lynx kayak, no matter what style of fishing I'm doing, I'll be using 2 rods. So we're going to have a lot of trips this year that are just 2 rod setups. I'm going to be fishing out of the Lynx a lot more. I actually took it out to get the bait yesterday, the skipjack. But we're going to be using it a lot more, especially as we get on into spring. I'm going to be doing my ultralight trips in the Lynx. I'm going to be doing some of my carp trips in the Lynx, because there's some creeks where it's going to be much easier for me to access them. Like there's one creek in particular I filmed some videos there. I have to make right at an hour, just over an hour, run from the nearest launch for this kayak to get there. But that Hobie Lynx is so lightweight, I found a place I can just pull off on the side. Now, I don't know how smart it is to leave my vehicle on the side of the road while I go fishing for a few hours, but there's a place that I found that I can slide that Hobie Lynx into that creek above where I normally fish and go down to it. And that will save me a ton of time. I mean, it will be, from where I can launch at to where I would be fishing at for them carp, it's like 10 minutes versus just over an hour each way when I have to put this kayak in. So it'll save a ton of time. So I'll be using that Lynx, well, at least on the carp trips where I go to that one creek in particular, but I'll probably be using it on some more that I can get easier access to. And the ultralight fishing for sure, I prefer fishing out of a pedal kayak for ultralight fishing. It's just, when you're working around docks and shorelines and trees coming off the bank, it's just easier to have pedals where your hands are kind of free versus, well, the motor here, I mean, I operate with the remote in my hand, so it's just easier, I feel like, with the pedals. I feel like I have more control. But the catfishing trips, most of them will be in this kayak, unless something new comes out. I tried replacing this kayak this past fall with that Bonafide XTR, and I didn't like it. It just didn't suit me. So we're back in this, but most of my catfishing trips will be in this, although we will do some in the Lynx. I've got a way to mount rod holders on there, and so we will run some catfishing trips in it occasionally, but most of the catfish trips will be in this. Most of the carp trips will be in this kayak. And the ultralight fishing, some of the carp trips, and my bait runs will be in the Lynx. Like yesterday, for instance, the place I got the skipjack in, for me to have like a real launch, because I mean, this kayak's so damn heavy with the motor and batteries and all that, like I have to have a boat ramp to put this thing in. The nearest boat ramp to where I got them skipjack at yesterday is about 2 miles each way. But the Lynx, I walked that damn thing down through the woods and launched right there where I was catching them. So having that lighter weight kayak, it's a good complement to this one. Have a kayak with all the bells and whistles, motor and GPS and high weight capacity and all that. Have that, but have a lightweight option too that you can just very, very quickly be able to load up and unload and be able to put it pretty much anywhere. Anywhere you can get access to the water, be able to get it there because of its lightweight. I think it's a good complement to this. I think having one of each is good. Now, I've still got my Old Town Big Water PDL kayak, and I'm very conflicted on what to do with that. Before I got the Hobie Lynx, that was my favorite kayak that I ever fished out of. It's a really good kayak. But since I got the Hobie Lynx, it's my favorite kayak that I've ever fished out of. And it kind of takes the place of what I was using the Old Town for. So I don't really have a need for it. And I definitely don't have the space at my house for 3 kayaks. I've still got my other trailer that I used to haul this kayak on. I've still got to sell it and get it out of the way. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I've got some time. I mean, I'm going to wait till spring, summer. If I do sell the Old Town, I want to wait until there's more of a demand for kayaks. The way it's got more value. You try selling a kayak in the winter months, you might sell it, but you're going to have to cut somebody a deal. I want to at least get maximum value for it if I do sell it, but very torn on that. I really like the kayak. I don't know that I'm going to be using it very much anymore. And because I haven't used it much, like I was pedaling so frequently that I just kept myself in good pedaling shape. And I'm still in good pedaling shape, but it's different muscles with the Hobie stepping motion versus the Old Town bicycle motion. Like it's different muscle groups. And it's been so long since I've even been in the Old Town now. I bet you I've lost my endurance probably to be able to pedal as fast and as long as what I used to be able to do in that thing. I'd probably have to build back up to it again. And I don't know that I would, because I wouldn't be using it very frequently. When I was using it all the time, it's easy to get yourself in shape and maintain it. But now, I don't know. I'll probably take it out again at some point here soon. Just get in it again and see how I feel. Especially, I'll do that for sure before I make a final decision. But I do need to make a final decision at some point here in the next couple months, figure out what I'm going to do. The trailer that I bought in the fall there, it's a much bigger trailer. Like it's very heavy duty, much larger profile. It takes up more carport space. So I've got it on one side of my carport. On the other side, I've got the Hobie Lynx, and I've got it on like a little rolling utility cart. And then in the middle, I've got my mower. I had a lean-to built on my shed last spring. I may end up moving the mower under it, but I can't right now because I've got the Old Town under the lean-to by my shed. And my other trailer, it's sitting out between my carport and my shed. So I'm out of space, folks. I gotta move some stuff. I had done a yard sale video for my channel members recently, try to get rid of some stuff in the house. I got a bunch more stuff in the shed I need to get rid of. Didn't end up selling much stuff there to my channel members, so whenever I do my yard sale video for everybody, there'll be a lot of stuff left. But I need to free up some space. I'm busting at the seams there. It's just been that's how it goes. I'm sure y'all experience the same thing. You just live your life and stuff, objects make their way into your household, and you end up having more stuff come in than what goes out. And over time, you just get this surplus of stuff that you don't even need or want anymore, and it's just there. It's clutter, it's taking up space you could be using for other things. And I gotta free up some space this year. We'd cleaned out a bedroom closet. I got a 3-bedroom house, and it's just me and my girlfriend there, so one bedroom is my office, and the other bedroom I was using the closet just for stuff, fishing, mostly fishing stuff, but just stuff, random stuff that accumulates in a house. And my girlfriend decided she needed her own room too, her library, because she reads all the time. She got 1 million books, and she's got a ton of clothes too. Can't fit them all in our closet in the bedroom, so she wanted that room for her. And I don't care, because there wasn't nothing else in that room other than the closet. But when she took that room, I had to clean that closet out. And now I need to get rid of all that stuff that was in the closet. I was hoping my channel members would buy a bunch of that stuff. That way I wasn't going to have to figure out a way to have a yard sale online and just the main YouTube stuff. Because last time I tried to do a yard sale, comments and stuff were getting flagged for spam because they had email addresses. And one year I tried just putting the stuff on eBay, and people were hijacking the eBay. They'd purposely run up a bid and then not pay. So that didn't really work out. I may try doing it on my Facebook, my Kayak Catfish Facebook page at some point. That might be the easiest way to go about it. I don't know, there's not a good way to go about it, really. I need to have a physical yard sale, but then that would require me having to interact with people in person, and you know how I am about that. Either way, that stuff's got to go. I got to make space. I had to, when I moved everything out of that one closet there for my girlfriend's room, it's now in the other bedroom, which is my office space, kind of my room, and it's a cluttered mess in there now. So I got to free it up. Where are we at on this, folks? Man, I really think we've made a mistake. Well, I wouldn't say it's a mistake. It's been a learning experience coming up through here with this area with just nothing feeding into it here. We've not had a tap at our baits, just nothing going on. This whole little stretch here where we've been this far away from the shore with nothing. Now I see birds up here in front of this one. So we may run into some fish up here again, but this stretch through here has been a dud. And so tomorrow, assuming we come back out here tomorrow, which I think I will, if the wind allows, I think we just make sure we either turn around, or tomorrow if we catch a big fish, we hit spot lock, sit there 10 or 15 minutes, we won't make it up this far anyway. But this stretch through here has definitely been a dud. And I can see why. It makes logical sense why this area's a dud. But now that we've worked it, we kind of know for sure that it's a dud. Sometimes you just got to test stuff like that, man. You can come up with all of the logic and theories in your mind of why something should or shouldn't work. But until you get on the water and test it, you're not going to know. And so now that we've proven this, kind of know that at least right now anyway, the other times of the year, water's warmer, fish are roaming more, like this might be a perfect place right through here. It might be a prime place to fish, but right now, this time of year, under these conditions, this is the Dead Sea we're going through. I kind of want to work up to this creek, but you know, we're already so late in the afternoon, 4:31 right now. I can't work up too much farther and ensure that I make it back before dark with the long run as I have. And I wanted to wait to come out here today until it warmed up, because even though it's a nice afternoon, the morning was still cold. And I figured because the morning was cold that the bite would be better in the afternoon. I don't know if that's true or not. I just thought it would be. I don't fish enough in the morning hours of the winter to know for sure. When I do fish, it's always, I like fishing in the mornings, spring, summer, fall, when it's comfortable temperature. I like getting out at sunrise, take advantage of a sunrise bite. I don't know how good the bite is in the mornings in the winter because, hell, I never fish the mornings in the winter. It could be on like Donkey Kong. I wouldn't know about it. If I gotta fish in 20 degrees, 30 degrees, I just don't need to catch them that bad. That's how I feel about it. I'll be damned. Look right there. There was a fish on the screen. First mark I've seen in a while on that thing. I think we're going to catch this limb right here with our line. We're going to have to watch that. But I've continued. You can see here on this hopefully you can see now that the sun's at a different angle. I've continued to just work this edge, top edge, all the way up through here. We've stayed with the plan. We'll try to work around this limb. All right, I think we done it. It's a hell of a job you just done right there, working around that thing. I sure was hoping we'd catch something on the live shad, but wasn't in the cards for us. We do this though, if we do this regularly with the live bait, if I can keep motivated to do it, and it's not a huge deal. I mean, there's always shad available. It's just the hassle of bringing the net and the bucket and getting yourself all wet to throw it and everything. But if I was to do this, let's say we do it all year, man, I promise you we will catch a bunch of fish with them live baits just pulling behind us like this. A variety of species. When we're working the creeks, I think we'll have a better chance of catching like crappie, bass, things like that. When we're out here, kind of open water, more cats, maybe stripers, drum, things like that. But we will, I promise you, it ain't if, it's when and how many. That last video there, I was catching them. I was fishing farther on downriver that day, but I was catching them on that. It ended up being an edited video. I talked for about, I don't know, hour or so, and I'd caught some small fish, but I kind of got tired of talking that day. I didn't have a lot going on, didn't have a lot to talk about. I was like, hell with it. I turned the camera off, and just a few minutes after that, rod goes down, it's a big fish. So I turned the camera back on, and I'm like, well, hell, now I got to make a video now because I got this big fish. So I ended up just doing an edited video on that trip. I'm about to catch another limb. There we go. Speaking of being out of stuff to talk about, I feel like I'm out of stuff to talk about now. I guess it's probably a good time to cut this video off. I'm not going to go much further anyway. I'm probably just going to work up here to this creek. And yeah, we just saw that one mark there on the graph a minute or two ago, but like I really don't think we're going to have much happening until and maybe when we get up here to this opening, whatever this is, or it's creek or cove or pocket, whatever, there may be something out in front of it, but out here, like it's been dead this whole stretch. I'm not too optimistic that we're going to do any good leading up to it. So I guess I'll just go ahead and wrap this up now and tell you all bye, tell you and thank you for coming with me today. And like I said, it's been a productive day. I'm going to go home happy today, having caught some big fish and catching several fish, even though this last, 30 minutes here, last hour, has kind of been well, ever since we hit this stretch here, it's been a dud. But before that, I mean, I felt like we were getting bites consistently enough down through here to keep me engaged, keep me entertained with it. And hopefully it's worthwhile to you too. Hopefully beneficial to you, seeing all this, how I'm approaching not only these conditions this time of year, but just the mindset of it all. Hopefully some of y'all find that beneficial. But yeah, anyway, I guess I'll cut the video off, fish my way up to, maybe up to it or just past it, and then I'm gonna reel up and skedaddle, try to make it back to the car before that sun gets all the way down, because I sure don't want to be out here after dark and it gets cold. You know, I'm a pansy in cold weather, y'all. I don't deny it. I'm a fair weather fisherman, and I don't like the cold. I don't deny it. But anyway, thanks for coming with me today. I'll see you all in the next video, which I think, hopefully, we'll be back out here again tomorrow on this same stretch. I'll see you then.